Mother Nature has not been kind to Daytona International Speedway yesterday or this morning. But whether or not, we have cars on track for preseason thunder. Welcome to Daytona, where it's about 20 degrees warmer than yesterday, and preseason thunder fires up Daytona International Speedway here on Fox Sports. Sprint Cup cars at the ready, and they've been on track already. Greg Biffle was the first to test the 2.5-mile tri-oval, and Kyle Busch very quickly laid down the fastest speed of the afternoon. Hi, everybody. Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, Darrell Waltrip with you. We've been waiting impatiently, and now you get a chance to show your stuff.
If you didn't get me in a race car pretty soon, I was going to go crazy. I've eaten in every fast food joint up and down Speedway Boulevard out here. I've told every story I ever knew, told every lie I ever knew. Man, I'm glad we got cars on the track. Holy mackerel.
Finally, Larry, and as we talked yesterday, you've got a 2-day testing agenda, and now you have from now until 9 p.m. tonight to get it all done.
But a lot like the drivers, the crew chiefs were ready too, because the garage opened at 7:30 a.m. this morning. When I walked in there at close to 8 o'clock, there were already cars lined up to go onto pit road to be ready to practice. But Mike, they actually came down here probably with 4 days of a testing plan, trying to get it into 2 days. I really heard a mixed bag of agendas in that garage area this morning. A lot of teams wanted to work on single car runs and then do some drafting. But I think we're going to see a little of both. But I think you'll see a lot of the drivers that are already in the Sprint Unlimited that will get some drafting early in speed weeks. They may stick to single car runs, but everybody wants to get out there at least once and get some drafting.
All right, let's get NASCAR's take on what is now a 1-day test. In the garage, here's Matt Yoakum.
Mike, you documented the loss of track time on Thursday, and NASCAR extending an extra 4 hours for today's practice tonight. And NASCAR VP of Competition, Robin Pemberton, does that still give you sufficient time to learn all you want to learn about the slight changes that you made for 2014?
Yeah, and we're in good shape. I mean, it's a small change, but this is more about the teams than it is anything right now. So we're getting feedback that some guys only need a half a day and some guys need a day and a half. So we'll see what the teams get out of this.
Anticipating any slight adjustments to the rules package for when the teams come back to Daytona for Speed Weeks, Robin?
No, I think we're in good shape. You know, it's the same as what it was last year other than the spoiler, and I think we're in pretty good shape for that.
And Bob, the good news, cars are on the racetrack.
And Matt Yoakum, one of the cars that has been on the racetrack so far is Joey Logano's number 22. He and Todd Gordon, his crew chief, one of the hottest combinations in this garage area at the end of last year. After 3 laps on the racetrack, Logano's 22, 8th quick so far. Joey Logano just climbed out of the car, but yesterday we talked to you guys about the agenda you had, and it was a hefty agenda. How much has that changed for today, and how much of a mad dash is it, Todd?
Well, overnight we sat down and take a look at what we had on our agenda, and knew that not only would it be 1 day, but it might be less than 1 day, which is what we got today. But kind of pulled out the bullet points of what needs to be gathered with data on it, what we can do when we come back here and without data on the car when we come back, you know, in February. So it's a condensed agenda. Obviously, for us, it'll be no drafting. We would have spent the afternoon today drafting, but want to get through some items that we had here on the test list, and took a list that was probably 30 runs and found a way to condense that to about 12. So
10th quick so far for Todd Gordon and Joey Logano, one of those teams changing the agendas here for this half-day test for the Sprint Cup Series. Jeff Hammond.
Yeah, a lot of guys are making those changes during the course of this condensed, you might say, a couple days of testing down here. I'm here with Jimmy Makar, Senior Vice President of Racing for Joe Gibbs Racing. And Jimmy, you know, you got 3 teams down here. Did you guys have to totally revamp your test schedule to try to get everything in that you're going to need to get in here today?
Well, yeah, the test schedule sort of went out the window, you know, with the rain and losing a day. We had to prioritize things and try to figure out what were the most important things we needed to come away from here with. So biggest things, we got some new cars here and we need to shake down, get some time on, and we've got a few engine pieces and parts and things we want to evaluate. So those are taking priority. You know, we would have liked to done a good bit of drafting, but that's probably not going to happen. I think everybody's more worried about trying to figure out what they've got for a car instead of how they handle in a draft.
Well, good luck with the rest of the test, guys.
Thanks, Jeff. For the first time in 13 years, a black number 3 is on the speedway in the Sprint Cup Series. Yes, this is testing, and yes, that's black primer. But it's rookie Austin Dillon at the wheel of the Richard Childress Racing number 3, and he is fastest in the opening minutes of this session.
Like we say, the more things change, the more they stay the same. But I look at that speed chart and I say, the 3's at the top of the speed chart.
You know, that young man has an opportunity to do something no other driver has ever accomplished, because not only does Austin Dillon have a championship in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series and the Nationwide Series, but he won Rookie of the Year in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. He won Rookie of the Year in the Nationwide Series. He can become the first driver to be Rookie of the Year in all 3 series.
And he's carried that number 3, Pawpaw's number as he calls it, through baseball and into Legends cars and all the way up the NASCAR ladder thus far. Richard Childress told us many years ago the only time the 3 would return to the racetrack under his stewardship would be with a family member behind the wheel. And at the time, I believe he was speaking of Dale Jr., Kelly, or Kerry Earnhardt. But now it is Childress's own family and his grandson Austin Dillon who will carry that number throughout 2014.
So it's still in the family. It's still carrying on a family tradition. And I think the young man is going to do the number. He's going to do the team. He's going to do the sport a real justice. I think he's ready for this.
I think it's the right time, and I think he's the right person.
I do too.
Yes. Here's the double 3, and this is Brian Scott, who is going to contest the Daytona 500 along with his full schedule in the Nationwide Series.
Now, this is the number that Austin Dillon ran in the Daytona 500 last year. He actually finished 3rd in that Budweiser dual qualifying race. This team with Brian Scott, Brian's still going to run the full Nationwide Series schedule, but he's going to maybe run 4 or 5 Sprint Cup Series races.
So Austin Dillon is quickest. Kyle Busch is 2nd. Brian Scott now 3rd. Then Danica Patrick, last year's pole sitter, and Matt Kenseth. Teammates talk it over in the Sprint Cup garage.
Here we go. Watch the game.
The new home for Monster Energy Supercross is Fox Sports 1.
Oh, that was awesome.
The best riders in the world risk it all.
That was a gnarly crash. Down he goes.
To win it all.
This could be a huge turn of events in the championship. It doesn't get any better than that.
Monster Energy Supercross, live from Phoenix. Tomorrow at 9:30 on Fox Sports 1.
You and this army. Clash of Clans. Download for free.
Start the new year right at Subway, where January is now Janu-Any, and any regular footlong is now a $5 footlong. Even low-fat favorites like the sweet onion chicken teriyaki. $5 footlong, January. Subway, eat fresh.
A man in his truck, and some company, and 5 hard landings, and 8 sore vertebrae, and 1 bruised tailbone, and 3 hours to make it all blissfully melt away. The all-new Chevy Silverado. There's no quieter full-size pickup. Strong for all the roads ahead.
In 1994, Pizza Hut became the first ever online order. Now the biggest pizza destination in the world is at your fingertips. And to celebrate, we're offering 50% off pizzas ordered online when you sign up for Hut Lovers. But only through January 10th. That's 50%. Pizza Hut. Make it great.
I need proof of insurance.
That's my Geico digital insurance ID card. Got all my pertinence on it and such.
Works for me. Turn to the camera.
Actually, I think my eyes might...
Next!
Digital insurance ID cards. Just a tap away on the Geico app.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Everybody knows that.
Well, did you know that when a tree falls in the forest and no one's around, it does make a sound?
Oh! Geico.
Little help here.
Defending Daytona 500 and Sprint Cup Series champion Jimmie Johnson on track in the Lowe's Chevrolet. 27 drivers have been on the speedway in the early going. Johnson is 6th fastest, behind Denny Hamlin, Austin Dillon, Kyle Busch, Brian Scott, and last year's pole sitter Danica Patrick. Let's go down to the garage. Matt Yoakum.
Mike, it's funny how cool and unique moments come to time and come to place. And Rusty Wallace, you're back in your fire suit. This is like the old days, back when you drove the Blue Deuce. How did this all come about, and where did it start?
It all started in Homestead, Florida in the garage here. I was doing my TV work, walking around talking to all the teams like I do about every week. And I stopped to talk to the two guys, and they started egging me on. I said, hey, Rusty, why don't you get back and test? Then all of a sudden I get a tap on the shoulders, Ron Malik from the 48. He said, come on, Rusty, get in that car. I'm like, okay, I'll think about it. I get a phone call 2 weeks later from Brad. He said, let's do it. I said, really? And then Penske calls me, and he wants to do it. And Walt Zarnicki and all the guys, and I called NASCAR, and they were all for it. I said, let's do it.
You described the anticipation of climbing back behind the wheel. What was it like when you were fitting your seat?
Well, I went over there, and it was all the original two guys that worked for me when I was there. So David Kenny was one of the main guys there that worked for me. Jeff Thousand, some of the older dudes from there. I sat in the car, fitted it all up. Everybody treated me like $1 million. But, you know, that was awesome. But when I got to the track, all the drivers and the crew chiefs and everybody coming by, it felt like old times. And then when I put the uniform on, and my stomach was still flat, and it was the same size, I went, hey, man, I'm ready to go.
A special week this week, but a very heartfelt week for you. Coming up next Thursday at Barrett-Jackson, you are going to auction off a car to once again help benefit the NASCAR Foundation.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. My son and our family and our helpers have been working so hard for the last 4 to 5 months building the most incredible Barrett-Jackson car I've ever built in my life. It's a 2014 Ford Fusion that's got the most incredible paint. And get a load of this, DW, a 950 horsepower solid aluminum engine. This car weighs 2,850 pounds. It's an absolute monster. It's a road course style car with 2 seats. And it's by far the most beautiful thing we've ever built. And all the money is going to go to the NASCAR Foundation. We're hoping to get about $500,000 out of this car.
DW, he's got his Miller Lite uniform. Do you think that Stevie will allow you to bring out one of your old Budweiser uniforms or one of your Tide uniforms and get back behind the wheel too?
You know, I think he'll fit in the car. Darrell will fit in the car. He just needs to wear some of those women underwear, those spandex things that hold you in the stomach. I know he can do it.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Nothing ever changes. What did he brag about the most? Oh, this is the same uniform I wore when I drove. Yeah, I don't have that stomach sticking out.
Rusty, he says some things just never change.
I was really waiting for a smart aleck comment. That was pretty nice out of you. I tell you.
I can't tell you everything else he said, though.
He's a great guy. He's a champion. And we're looking forward to Barrett-Jackson. Thanks for bringing it up. It's going to be a huge event out there at Barrett. Our car is going to sell Thursday night, 8 o'clock on Fox Business Channel, I've heard.
And you know what's neat is we have a Hall of Famer here, we have a Hall of Famer in the booth, and it's just like maybe 1985 or something going back and forth. We love that kind of stuff here in NASCAR.
But look, guys, that's what we're missing a lot of. That banner between two drivers, backwards and forward.
Right.
You know, hey, your belly's sticking out. No, well, I'm wearing the same uniform always. Well, you still can't drive, so what's the big deal?
Where the Spanx people are seeing a great marketing opportunity here somehow.
You know, how would he even know about that? You know? How would he know?
Meanwhile, back on the track, Justin Allgaier in the number 51 with Brandt on the side. Larry, most of these cars, I think Kyle Busch is the exception. Most of these cars are in primer. It might be white, gray, black, or some other color. I think Kyle's is the only car that I've seen that is fully painted. Let's talk about why cars are in primer for testing.
Well, even though they're complete race cars and they're on the racetrack making circles, there's still a lot of work to do over the next few weeks. In fact, Mike, talking to Steve Letarte and talking to Chad Canales with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and with Jimmie Johnson, the cars they have here testing, that 48 and that 88, that's not even intended on being their Daytona 500 cars. They wanted to come down here and test. They wanted to gather the data. And like Steve Letarte said last week, he said, we may have still a few little tweaks of rule changes that come. our actual Daytona 500 cars are not completely built yet. We're waiting till the test is done. We're waiting for any rule changes, and then we'll finish those 500 cars.
Yeah, I mean, that's been customary for years. You bring a car down here and primer it, and here's something that the engineers know. And by the way, I think it's incredible that NASCAR knows so much about these cars, and they knew when they added that half-inch of spoiler on these cars, that was a couple of tenths around the racetrack, maybe a mile an hour. And if you look at our fastest lap right now, it's a 46.93. Matt Kenseth's down here last year was a 46.68. So you put a couple of tenths that the spoiler has slowed the car down, then you're right where they thought they would be. And I think that's amazing that they know the car, they got the data, they got all the information, they make changes and really not even have to try it.
Now here's an interesting situation. This is Alex Bowman in the number 83. David Rudiman announced this week, along with BK Racing, that they had amicably parted company. Bowman had already been confirmed as the driver for the Daytona test, but the BK driver lineup for the season is still in flux. New name at the top of the board. Let's find out who from the garage.
After 6 laps on the racetrack, Denny Hamlin, the fastest man of practice so far. And how about this, guys? This is a brand new piece for Denny Hamlin, Darian Grubb, and this team. And you're going to run this in the Daytona 500, Darian told me. But what does this mean for this team as far as momentum to come right out of the box this quick?
Yeah, we've been just running kind of race laps. That's why we ran 6 straight laps, just to try to get everything up to temperature. But 55 was in front of me. But really, their speed picked up when he moved off of the racetrack. So still, our car is going to be pretty good. It looks like not much, change from yesterday as far as our package. So I think that obviously the team in the shop, Fab Shop, has done a great job building a great body.
You say you might have got a little bit of help on that lap, but what did you feel out of that race car that now you have to go and tackle, you and this team, to try to make it better?
Well, we'll see when we make our second run, what we got for sure. But our teammates are up there, so we know our cars are fast. So, really for us, we had come here with our biggest plan was to draft. You really got to play with the edge if you want to get the front row here on qualifying day. We usually aren't a contender for that, so we tend to want to draft. We want to get out there and race around other cars because that's how you're going to stipulate your position if you're not one of those top 2. So, we're just working through the mechanical stuff right now. We're not really looking for any speed. You're playing with some different steering boxes and stuff like that. So, really a good start for our FedEx Express team.
As Denny said, their team was planning to draft down here, and you can tell that by the evidence of this slick tape on the back bumper. His crew chief, Darian Grubb, said they put this on there. They plan to go out at some point in the day with this slick tape in the draft, but he doesn't know if he'll have any dancing partners out there, guys.
Thanks, Bob. Hamlin quickest. Austin Dillon, Kyle Busch, Brian Scott.
This is what Denny Hamlin was talking about right here. Now, even though he is not tucked up to that 55 car in front of him, he's still getting help. The rule of thumb we always use, Darrell, and I don't think it's changed, if a driver can see another car, it's helping him to some capacity. It's like being in the wake of a boat on the lake.
Yeah, no, he got a lot of help, actually, Larry, because that car, he was just behind that car for a long time. So, obviously going to get a lot of help. But the best thing that happened to Denny Hamlin and his team? Homestead. That was a good way to end the season because they needed that to start the new year.
Cars on track for preseason thunder. Here are the 10 fastest laps so far.
This is it. This is where the months of preparation and planning lead to. This is where a missed detail is a missed opportunity. From here, there's no looking back, only forward. In this moment, one tick of a watch separates victory from defeat. It's time to go sports car racing.
Get ready for the world's greatest collector car auction. Barrett Jackson, the one and only.
Sold that automobile for $79,900.
Live Live from Scottsdale, Arizona, the most amazing cars, all up for grabs. Barrett Jackson. The year's biggest event begins Tuesday at 7, live on Fox Sports 2.
Attention, if you have a hip replacement, listen carefully.
If you have a DePuy or any other brand of metal-on-metal hip replacement and it's been removed or it's causing you problems, call the Goldwater Law Firm right now.
Certain hip implants can fail, causing you severe pain. Sometimes the hip implants need to be replaced entirely. Call us right now. You may be entitled to compensation.
Call the Goldwater Law Firm at 800-897-9094. That's 800-897-9094.
Do you own a car or truck with less than 150,000 miles? Has your factory warranty expired? Then you need an extended vehicle protection plan. It's easy to qualify, and each plan is personally customized. If you own a car, truck, or SUV, eventually your car will break down. Repair bills could cost thousands of dollars. You won't have to pay for the repair bills up front and then wait to be reimbursed. If your car is over 3 years old, it's easy to qualify. You choose the licensed repair shop, and the bill gets paid. It's that simple. Call today to get a free quote in just 5 minutes.
Even when you're in aisle 4, you're never far from home. With Xfinity Home, you can set your alarm as you stock up the house. Check in on your best friend while you're at work. And even adjust your thermostat when you're out and about. Plus, you can add 24/7 professional monitoring. Xfinity Home gives you a total home security and control solution that simplifies your life. This is easy. This is simple. This is awesome. This is Xfinity Home.
This weekend, the road to Super Bowl 48 continues. It's the NFC divisional round on Fox. It begins tomorrow. Saints, Seattle. And then Sunday, the 49ers battle Cam Newton and the Panthers. NFC playoffs continue this weekend only on Fox. Let me tell you how big that game is in Charlotte. The Legends Cars Winter Heat Series at Charlotte Motor Speedway canceled for tomorrow due to a 90% forecast for rain. They could have run Sunday, but Director of Competition John Hagan said, with the Panthers playing in the playoffs at home, we'll just do it next week.
Probably a smart move.
Now, see, that's good. That's good common sense right there.
You bet.
That's a great call. I don't know about this 15 car, Larry. He's going to have to get the whip out. He just moved up a little bit. He's 29 quick at Clint Boyer in the 15 there, the 5-hour energy car, 47.92. About a second off the pace.
And he's one of those drivers that I was speaking about at the top of the show. Clint did not sit on a pole in 2013, so the first drafting he will see, unless they do some later on this afternoon or tonight, will be probably on Wednesday before the Daytona 500, because, again, Clint not in the Sprint Unlimited race.
40 drivers have now been on track, making practice runs. We're just about 40 minutes into this session. They're going to take a brief lunch break. No, that's over. They're going to take a brief dinner break, excuse me. And they're going to continue until 9 p.m. tonight under the lights.
You know, Darrell and Mike, you know, Clint went winless last year. And it's only his second time in the last 7 years to go winless. And we all know what happened at Richmond, the race before the chase. And I talked to his crew chief, Brian Patty, well into the chase, 6 or 7 races, and he said, Larry, we are still trying to overcome that night mentally. Clint's trying to overcome it. I'm trying to overcome it. The whole race team's trying to overcome it. It just didn't go away just overnight.
Yeah, well, amazingly to me, that was the #1 story of 2013, and of course, you know, it still lingers. It didn't go away. And that's really what Michael and all that whole crowd are trying to do, is put that behind them and get the performance of the cars up and get back up there and win some races and compete for the championship.
One other thing we were noticing about our scoring monitor when we were at commercial break, it looks a little bit like what the scoring monitor did last year during testing here at Daytona, is if you look at the top 15 drivers, pretty saturated with Chevrolets. There's 3 Toyotas. They are all in the top 7, but only 1 Ford driver in the top 15. That's Brad Keselowski, and the 2 that's 9th.
Now, are you sure that was Brad, or maybe that was Rusty? You know, maybe Rusty went out and held it wide open. He never has, but maybe he did today.
Oh, boy, and the hits just keep on coming.
Yeah, he doesn't have that microphone anymore now, does he?
No, he's out there in the car.
but he'll have it the whole second half of the season.
But you know what?
This is Brad in the car. Brad Keselowski's in the car.
I've said this about Rusty, and he and I, of course, we're actually good buddies. But he could help this team. I don't mean help them with their cars, because probably what he starts trying to explain to them would be foreign to Brad and to Joey when it came down to, what he was trying to explain. But I think Rusty could be a good influence on those two guys. Joey's young. If I was a rookie, I would go find Joey Logano. And I would want to know, Joey, you've been through it. You've been with Gibbs. You've kind of been up and down, and you seem like you've got your feet on the ground now. Tell me about the rookie experience, because he knows. He's on is he 22 years old? That's all. He's only 22, I think. He's a young man. I mean, we don't even think about how young he is, and the experience he already has. Then you take Brad, who had a rough year last year. We put Rusty in there with some leadership and some of the experience that he has. Rusty could be a good influence on this group as a leader, as a mentor.
Yes, he's a spark plug.
Yeah.
He can give a shot of adrenaline. Here's a look at Charlotte. Last October, checkered flag for Keselowski. One bright, shining moment in his title defense season.
But you know what? I think about him, and I think about Atlanta. Had the car to beat at Atlanta and had that engine failure. And I think about Chicago with Dale Jr. If Dale Jr. hadn't had that engine failure at Chicago, he may have been the guy challenging Jimmy Johnson for the championship. So some of those late season engine failures, mechanical problems, changed the outcome of the chase, and certainly who got in the chase.
So here's another driver who, like Clint Boyer, is happy to turn the page to 2014.
Yeah, I think so. And some of the things that, we talked about this, the mechanical issues that they had with the car and some of the inspection problems they ran into there in Texas. But I also think that Brad kind of started the year off with not the best championship attitude. He got himself in some trouble early on. And trust me, you can be a tough guy and you can be a Rusty Wallace, but those things affect you. They affect your race team.
Watching Danica Patrick in the GoDaddy Chevrolet, her quick lap 47.18, and she just backed it up with a 47.18 with a 4. And remember, this is the combination that sat on the pole here last year.
Yeah, and those are clean laps too. I mean, there's not a car in sight, and she's putting down some good fast laps, very similar to what she did here last year in testing.
Yeah, we had 6 different test sessions during those 3 days back last January, and she was well up in the top 10 in 4 of those 6, and inside the top 5 a couple of them. So it really wasn't like sitting on the pole was a huge surprise.
No, and this is one of her best. This may be her best. This may be her Indy. I think back, I did an ARCA race here when she ran about 3 or 4 years ago now, I guess. The first time she'd been to Daytona. She did an amazing job, finishing the top 5 or 6, I think, that day.
Even after spinning out.
It's fun right here on the front straightaway. And she came back and had a top 5 or 6 finish. And she likes Daytona. Certainly she's had her share of incidences here. I think about that one off turn 2 over there when she slammed head on into the wall over on the back straightaway. Trouble in the nationwide race with her and her teammate. But overall, I think this is her best racetrack.
Yeah, you can see right there she finished 8th, but remember, on the white flag lap, she was running in well inside the top 5.
40 cars on track so far as we complete the first 3/4 hours of Preseason Thunder, and Michael Waltrip gets set to climb in.
Big East Conference play continues on Fox Sports 1. Tomorrow, Javon Pinkston leads number 8 Villanova against St. John's.
Shoot to the hoop.
Then it's Georgetown taking on Butler. It all tips off tomorrow at 1 on Fox Sports 1. Presented by New York Life Insurance Company.
KFC's new extra crispy boneless combo meal is so extra crispy, it's been bothering them. What's this? What?
Get unheard of deals on durable, easy-to-install floors at Lumber Liquidators' laminate and vinyl plank flooring sale. All laminate flooring is 20 to 30% off our incredibly low prices. All vinyl plank 10% off. Plus, get special financing. Sales going on now at Lumber Liquidators.
You make a great team. It's been that way since the day you met. But your erectile dysfunction, it could be a question of blood flow. Cialis Tadalafil for daily use helps you be ready anytime the moment's right. You can be more confident in your ability to be ready. And the same Cialis is the only daily ED tablet approved to treat ED and symptoms of BPH, like needing to go frequently or urgently. Tell your doctor about all your medical conditions and medications and ask if your heart is healthy enough for sexual activity. Do not take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain, as this may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Do not drink alcohol in excess with Cialis. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease or loss in hearing or vision, or if you have any allergic reactions such as rash, hives, swelling of the lips, tongue, or throat, or difficulty breathing or swallowing, stop taking Cialis and get medical help right away. Ask your doctor about Cialis for daily use and a 30-tablet free trial.
The toughest fighters from Canada and Australia battle to become the next Ultimate Fighter. The Ultimate Fighter Nations, an all-new series, Wednesday on Fox Sports 1.
This is it. This is where the months of preparation and planning lead to. This is where a missed detail is a missed opportunity. From here, there's no looking back, only forward. In this moment, one tick of a watch separates victory from defeat. It's time to go sports car racing.
Well, Rusty's had an effect. Brad's even got the same pose as Rusty in the garage area. Arms akimbo. Yep, see, just like that.
Attitude.
Talking it over.
Got that attitude. Those two got about the same attitude, I might say.
A couple Midwesterners. Austin Dillon back out for second run. Dow Chemical, or Dow as it's now known, and Cheerios are going to split the season on that number 3. And the images we saw of how the car will compete, the cars are a lot more colorful than the black car that you see here in testing in this black primer with sponsor decals on it. Bass Pro Shops, I think, also involved there. You see their decal below Cheerios. All part of the revamped Richard Childress Racing for 2014.
He's only run a total of 5 laps so far, but as well documented, the fastest Chevrolet driver, second quickest overall right now.
I wonder if Bob Keselowski and Big Russ Wallace ever raced against each other up in the Midwest.
Likely.
I'd say they did at some point in time.
Bob ran a lot of ARCA and Russ ran a lot of short tracks.
Yeah.
But it's entirely possible.
You look at that aluminum spoiler on the rear of this car, and we've been talking a little bit about that. When we talked with Robin Pemberton with NASCAR, he talked about a little bigger rear spoiler. They added a 1/2 inch just all the way across the top from last year. Last year it was 4 inches tall. Now it's 4.5. The width is the same. That should make these cars for these drivers a little more stable in the draft. Obviously it hurts the straightaway speed because it's more drag. Actually helps rear grip a little bit. It helps rear downforce.
Well, here's the thing, Larry. That gives the car some more stability, and particularly in traffic. We saw this all last year down here, and they had taken a lot of spoiler off these cars, and everybody was concerned about the back of the cars being real loosey-goosey. And here's the thing about stability. If you make my car better, that makes the car around me better, because I'm not moving all over the place, and there's not as big a chance of me getting into the guy beside of me and vice versa. So I think it was a great idea to put a little more spoiler back on these things and give the cars a little more stability.
Certainly an area where a little bit can mean a lot.
Yeah, just right here, just the height right there it's a 1/2 inch taller than it was last year. Jeff, I know a 1/2 inch doesn't look like much, but I'd say as far as downforce, it's a lot.
Yes, Larry, down here at the 43 car, you can see what we're talking about here. You're talking about going about a 1/2 inch. That would be about from this line to the top of the spoilers, about what these guys have added to this super speedway car this year. And that has increased the drag. That means the amount of air going over the back of this car And aero horsepower is somewhere between 5 and 10 aero horsepower, depends who you talk to, that they've added to the cars. Also added downforce. So they put a little bit more downforce on the rear tires, a little more grip there. So these are some of the things that the teams are working out to see how much it changed the balance front to rear, how much it slows the car down. You've already documented, it seems like from the speeds from last year to now, you know about what that is as far as seconds around the racetrack. A lot of the drivers say they really can't tell any difference so far speaking to them inside the cars. But the one thing you also want to notice, NASCAR is not 100% sold on this. Test only on these spoilers that they're running on these cars currently down here at this test.
So
Thanks, Jeff.
That big spoiler, there's two things that slow the cars down. One's the restrictor plate, the other is that spoiler. If you could just go back there and lay that spoiler down 5 degrees, if you could just lay your spoiler back 5 degrees further than more than anyone else, say it's at 70, you let it down to 65, you would pick up an incredible amount of speed. And so even though that seems like a minor amount, it's just like adding a 64 to this restrictor plate. Doesn't seem like much at all, but it makes a huge difference.
And as we watch Carl Edwards, the other difference it makes is the taller that spoiler is and the straighter you stand it up, the bigger hole you punch in the wind and create a bigger draft behind you, which in theory will make it easier for a car behind you to pull out and pass.
See what some fans remember 1985, and they remember the Thunderbird of Bill Elliott's. We couldn't race with Bill because he could run his spoiler laid down flatter than we could. We had the cars with the straight up and down back glass. We had to have all the spoiler we could to make our cars drive halfway decent. Bill could lay his down a lot more than we could, and he would make a lot more speed. And besides that, we couldn't get up behind him. It was hard enough to keep up with him, and then he had that old blade laid down. The air coming off his car just slowed you right down.
And the reason was the Thunderbird had the sloped rear window, which allowed a smooth path for air over the roof to get to that spoiler. The Chevrolets, the Monte Carlos with the vertical back window, had to depend on air coming around the side of the car to get to the spoiler.
Yeah, and the car we put in the museum of the Hall of Fame over there this week, the Budweiser car, is one of the Aero Coupes. And that car grew out of the fact that we needed some help with getting air to the rear spoiler, so Chevrolet came up with that window that we added to the back of the Monte Carlo to make it more like the Thunderbird.
Carl Edwards completes his run. Let's check with Bob.
Guys, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has finished second in the Daytona 500 in 3 of the last 4 years, currently 13th quick in this session here during Daytona testing. But today and yesterday, we have not been talking about his on-track prowess here at Daytona. We've been talking about a big thing going on for Hendrick Motorsports and this team. And starting in 2015, it was announced during this test down here at Daytona that Steve Letarte will no longer be Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s crew chief. He will remain this year in trying to win the championship with Dale Earnhardt Jr., but as of 2015, he's going into the television booth. And we heard some leaks about this in January. It became official right here in Daytona, but Jr. told us this morning, he said it began last year.
I think I heard about it at the Charlotte race, the second Charlotte race, and I asked him to come over to the bus. I usually don't take my bus to Charlotte, but I had it there, and yeah, I was in shock. I didn't know what was going on. You know, the more I sat down with him and talked about it, the more it made sense, and the more I understood his situation, and you know, I could put my own selfishness aside and kind of understand what was important to him and how this was good for him. He actually included me in on the discussion before the end of last year, and I had a pretty good understanding, whether he knew or not what he was going to do. I had a pretty good understanding what his decision was going to be when I left Homestead. So I've had have time to really wrap my brain around it, and it was hard because we are such good friends, and I really do enjoy working with him, a lot. But at the same time, I'm happy for him because it gives him the opportunity to spend time with his family. It's something that's really important to him. I expect us to do nothing less than improve on what we've been doing and steadily keep moving toward our goals and but it's definitely going to be emotional and difficult at times, just because we really enjoy working together.
At this stage in your career, how much input do you want to have on who your next crew chief is? Will you make suggestions? Will you have say in the final decision? How will that work in your?
I won't make any suggestions at all. I will leave that up to Rick, Doug. I would love to have input from Chad Knaus and Steve. I think that Steve knows what makes this team work. Steve knows how I can be successful and how the individuals within the team can be successful. I think he'd be a good guy to sort of pick at, and I hope that Doug and Rick would include him in that conversation at times. I think it's important that Chad's got a lot of influence because he knows how well the shop works together and what the culture is in the shop and how a particular guy may mesh in that environment. But I don't really want to have any influence on the choice.
Fifth in points for Steve Letarte and Dale Earnhardt Jr. last year, and a lot of people think they can contend for the title this year. But I think the biggest shock out of all of this that came from Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s statements in the booth, I want you guys to talk about this. He says he wants no influence. He doesn't want a choice in who his crew chief will be. He will trust in the judgment of the bigwigs at Hendrick Motorsports. And a lot of people down here in this garage area think that's a big surprise.
I really don't, Bob. I know how he feels. First of all, anybody that's ever worked for Rick Hendrick, you trust Rick. You trust his judgment. He knows people. He's put together deals, car deals all over the country. He knows how to put the right people together to get the most out of each other. But here's the good news, I think, for Junior, that team, and for Letarte as well. First of all, there's things that he hasn't done, Steve Letarte hadn't done, and he'd like to be able to walk out of that garage saying, I never won a Daytona 500, but he would like to be, I'm sure he would like to. I know he wants to. I've never won a championship. I know he wants to. I think those things that on his list that he wants to get done are a good sign, a good thing for Dale Jr. Because, come on, Dale Jr., together, let's win a championship. And when I go in the TV booth, I'll be a championship-winning crew chief. So I think it could be motivation for both of them to try to do something this year that they've never done before and take that with them. And here's the other good news for Letarte. He's not going to another team. They're not going to cut him out. You know, it's not like he won't be in the meetings and he can't find out what's going on. He'll be right there until the very end.
Yes, I've listened to this Steve Letarte story for the last 2 days. It certainly made me reflect back to over 14 years ago when I made the decision to leave Richard Childress Racing and join the NASCAR on Fox team. And even though David Hill, the chairman of Fox Sports, approached me in December of 1999, over a year before we went on the air, it took several months for me to make that decision. But I will say, once Linda and I and my family made the decision that that's what I wanted to do, the first two people I talked to next was Richard Childress and Mike Skinner. And they totally supported why I was making this move from the pit box to the broadcast booth. And the biggest thing Richard Childress challenged me with, you have to help us fill your shoes with the crew chief for 2001. And I actually worked there until the week before Christmas to make sure everything was in order with Royce McGee that took my position as the crew chief of the 31.
Yep.
Plus, I think that Rick Hendrick's excellence at putting the right people together, whether it's in his car dealership group or whether it's in his race teams, is unparalleled in this business. And for Junior to put his trust in Rick, I would agree with that completely.
I know. I was there. I've done it.
So is this man, Chad Knaus. 6-time Sprint Cup champion with driver Jimmy Johnson. Austin Dillon back on the top of the chart in Daytona.
Oh, uniform's a little tight, ain't it, bud?
Here we go. The new home for Monster Energy Supercross is Fox Sports 1.
That was awesome!
The best riders in the world who risk it all to win it all.
It doesn't get any better than that.
Monster Energy Supercross, live from Phoenix, tomorrow at 9:30 on Fox Sports 1.
This is it. This is where the months of preparation and planning lead to. This is where a missed detail is a missed opportunity. From here, there's no looking back, only forward. In this moment, one tick of a watch separates victory from defeat. It's time to go sports car racing.
If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be entitled to disability benefits through Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right if you suffer from a physical or mental disability. Whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, we can help. You'll be matched up with an advocate who will evaluate your situation, handle your application, and deal with Social Security for you. And best of all, there's no fee until you receive benefits. Call today.
So has anybody actually started saving for college yet?
Oh, not me.
No, you got time.
Oh, no, we actually started.
Yeah, but how did you even know where to start?
Oh, I found out about the Gerber Life College Plan.
Call now and get started with free information on the Gerber Life College Plan.
Oh, it's a life insurance policy, too.
Oh, that's different.
It's pretty much where I agree.
No matter what happens, we get guaranteed safe growth.
We've got to get started.
Call 1-800-308-6822 for your free information.
Don't let the IRS ruin your year. Do you have unfiled tax returns or unsettled tax debts? Have you received a wage garnishment or bank levy? Did you know the IRS may allow you not to pay your tax debt? You may be a candidate for the non-collectible status. Call OMG Tax to see if your debt can be deemed non-collectible. Call us today so that we can knock all your tax problems out of the park.
Call 1-800-257-8704. That's 1-800-257-8704.
And welcome back to NASCAR Preseason Thunder, Daytona International Speedway. Cars on the track, that's what everyone's been waiting for. Yesterday was rained out. This morning, they weren't able to get on track until 1 o'clock this afternoon. And then they made a mad dash to get out onto this 2.5-mile super speedway. And up to this point, they have impressed. We saw Rusty Wallace climbing in behind the wheel of the number 2 when he came into the garage getting ready for this test session. Hello, everyone. Rick Allen and Hermie Sadler with you. Now, we have a scoring chart that shows the fastest speeds and the lap times that take place. And Hermie, the fastest ones are always on the left side of that scoring chart. The slower ones are on the right side. Different agendas between those two sides of that scoring chart here.
It really is, Rick. You know, this Daytona test for years, especially the single car runs, have always been more about the guys at the shop, the engine builders, the body hangers, the engineers, the shock builders, all those things. That's what builds speed for Daytona. So they tell the driver all winter, hey, I got you a little bit here, I got you a little bit there. When you get on the racetrack, if your speed's on the left side of the speed chart, you breathe a sigh of relief. You said all the equations added up, we've got the speed we thought we had. But sometimes on the right side, if you're there, you're trying to explain to your driver what went wrong and what can we do to pick up that speed we felt like we had. The problem is, Rick, we don't have a lot of time, only till 9 o'clock tonight, if the weather stays good, to find that extra speed. So some guys are relaxed and excited. Other teams a little bit queasy about what may be coming ahead.
Yeah, and we heard some of the drivers talking and the teams talking about maybe 30 runs that they had planned to come here and test. Over 16 hours is what was scheduled, but now that's been whittled down to 8 hours. Now you might only have 10 runs or 12 runs that you want to try to figure out where you can find that little bit of speed. And as you're saying, the time's running out on those guys that are on the right side of the chart.
Well, what fans have to remember when you're testing at Daytona, you want to ABA everything you do on the racetrack. And by that I mean, first thing in the morning, you have to go out and make a 3 or 4 lap run just to get things up to temperature. Then you have to make a baseline run. Then every change you make, you have to make that run and then go back and run it again against what you ran prior. So it takes at least an hour, hour and a half to really get one part or one component or one piece really checked back to back to make sure that you're making gains on this racetrack. So it's very time consuming to make sure that you make speed and you're not fooled by temperature or wind or something else, another fact that it could play in a part of how fast you run.
Which we are right in the middle of the elements, right here in the garage area at our desk location. Also here in the garage is Jeff Hammond.
Yeah, that's right, Rick. I'm down in the garage. I actually snuck up on Trevor Bain, former Daytona 500 winner. And Trevor, what were you doing in there? Were you playing games or were you doing some business?
You know, I was keeping cool. I don't know if you want some wind here, but that feels pretty good to me. It's warming up here in Daytona, and that's a good thing on the track out here. We've been sitting around with rain for the last 2 days, falling asleep and texting everybody and playing games. So we're still keeping that going. We're in here sending each other pictures and stuff. So we're just hanging out trying to get this thing dialed in. We've only made 2 runs so far, so we've got our work cut out for us, but we'll be here late tonight working on this thing.
I thought you told me you were working on checking on your, new helmet?
I'm checking on it. I got to make sure I got a new Wood Brothers helmet coming here. We always do a really cool thing. Nick Pastura paints these up, and the wood grain on this helmet's actually off the wood grain pattern on the old Fords. So it's kind of cool to have that on the helmet, and I think it plays good with the Wood Brothers racing.
Well, Bob, you never know what you're going to find one of these drivers doing inside the garage area.
Well, right now, Austin Dillon is just chilling out inside his race car, which is very fast. P1 on the board so far. So why not just pack it up? These guys look like they're about ready to make a bunch of changes to this car.
Yeah, we were just trying a bunch of stuff. You know, it's kind of a standard start for our day, and it was good. The Dow Chevy's quick, and that's it's really good to come here and have some speed. You don't have to go back home and panic and rebuild everything. So now we just want to go out there and do some testing like we're here to do. And I think we'll keep working on it and trying to get it faster and faster for the time we come back in February.
Austin, so much talk about this number 3 on the side of your race car. Of course, Dale Earnhardt Sr. ran it for so long. Your granddad ran this number in the Cup Series. Talk about the heritage and what this means to you to come to the Cup Series and run this number 3 car.
Well, it's very special. You know, I'm honored. You know, there's such a lot that goes with this number, the history behind it, and it's pretty cool to be here for my first time in my career in a Cup garage, driving and having this number. So we've been in it for 4 years now, and it's really special to everybody at RCR. We're really pumped up and excited to get the season started.
So far during this test, the number 3 fastest in this session, but some news right next door in the RCR camp as well. The 27, usually driven by Paul Menard. Well, it's not driven by Paul Menard during this test. It's driven by the Camping World Truck Series champion, Matt Crafton. And here's the story on that. Matt was called at the last minute because Paul Menard's home in North Carolina was flooded. A pipe burst, very cold temperatures, a pipe burst. So he's there taking care of that mess with his home in North Carolina while Matt Crafton tests his car here at Daytona. Matt Yoakum.
Bob, the number at the moment is 2, as Rusty Wallace, the 55-time winner. The Hall of Famer has taken the Blue Deuce out on the pit road to make a run one last round, which also is on the helmet that you presented to him as a special gift, Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, you know, it's just a neat deal for Rusty. He's been around and done a lot for the sport, got in the Hall of Fame this past year, and we're real proud of him and what he's done to make this possible for the Miller Lite car to exist and for Penske Racing to exist. You know, he's the one that really got it rolling, and you know, we had a chance to have a little throwback with him here at the Daytona test with the Miller Lite, the original scheme, and it's a great tie-in and a great way to kind of show some respect back. So I'm excited, and boy, I can tell you what, he's absolutely excited. So it's gonna be great.
He's excited, but even more special for you to have someone of his racing resume get behind the wheel, someone you looked up to as a youngster.
Yeah, you know, he raced against my dad, you know, so that's really cool. And my dad's got some racing stories about racing against him. And, you know, when I think of Rusty, I was telling somebody the other day, I can't help but remember when I was in 4th grade, my school picture was me wearing a Rusty shirt. So who would have thought our cross would have path our paths would have crossed. So it's quite an honor to be a part of it.
Go enjoy history.
I will. Thank you. You too.
And he was inside the car, actually, guys, helping Rusty get acclimated, helping make the changes. They moved the steering wheel and column up and forward. The seat inserts were changed out, and that special helmet, he's ready to go, Rick and Hermie.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, it's got to be interesting to hand over your car to a Hall of Famer. I mean, probably has never happened before because the Hall of Fame is so young, but that's exactly what Brad Keselowski has done. He's handed his car over to a Hall of Famer.
It's cool, too.
Yeah.
You know, and you can tell as many races as Rusty has won, as many test sessions as he's been involved in. He stopped by and talked to us yesterday, and he was absolutely on the chip. But the one thing he said was, I wanted to make sure that doing this didn't have any effect on my Hall of Fame status. So he's very serious about being a Hall of Famer. He didn't want to jeopardize that.
And he had to go through the whole process as far as getting his license to be able to race here in NASCAR. By that, I mean he had to go through the baseline test for concussions. He had to get the physical done, had to get the license. Everything that all the other drivers have to do, he had to do just to come out here to run maybe a couple laps at Daytona.
Well, that's what it means to be on this racetrack at Daytona. Everybody who's ever had the privilege of making a lap around this racetrack, much less starting a Daytona 500, knows just how special that is.
14 continues to make laps. That's Mark Martin behind the wheel of that car. Austin Dillon still quickest in this first session of preseason Thunder. Now let's head out to LA for a Fox Sports 1 update.
Hi, I'm Julie Short-Banks, and here are 3 things you need to know, presented by DirecTV.
Florida State receiver Kelvin Benjamin reportedly declares for the 2014 NFL Draft. NFL.com is reporting Chargers offensive coordinator Ken Whisenhunt is expected to interview for the Titans head coaching job today. And the NFL divisional playoffs returns to Fox, starting with the Saints and Seahawks on Saturday. Coverage begins at 3:30 Eastern. And for a preview of this weekend's games, catch Fox Sports Live tonight.
Think you can't have it all for dinner? Better think that thought again. With Pizza Hut's Big Dinner Box, get 2 medium one-topping pizzas, breadsticks, and pick from wings, rollers, pasta, or now a third pizza for just $19.99. Or get any pizza for $10. Pizza Hut, make it great.
You've reached the age where you learned a thing or two. This is the age of knowing what you're made of. So why let erectile dysfunction get in your way? Talk to your doctor about Viagra. 20 million men already have. Ask your doctor if your heart is healthy enough for sex. Do not take Viagra if you take nitrates for chest pain. It may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Side effects include headache, flushing, upset stomach, and abnormal vision. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. Stop taking Viagra and call your doctor right away if you experience a sudden decrease or loss in vision or hearing. This is the age of taking action. Viagra. Talk to your doctor.
All right, guys, let's huddle up here and talk probiotics. For digestive health? Yes, and did you know that True Biotics is a daily probiotic that helps in 2 ways? It supports digestive and immune health by working in your gut, where 70% of your immune system lives. Try True Biotics today.
Start the new year right at Subway, where January is now Janu-Any, and any regular footlong is now a $5 footlong. Even low-fat favorites like the sweet onion chicken teriyaki. $5 footlong, January. Subway, eat fresh.
Get ready for the world's greatest collector car auction. Barrett Jackson, the one and only.
Sold that automobile for $79,900.
Live from Scottsdale, Arizona, the most amazing cars, all up for grabs. Barrett Jackson, the year's biggest event, begins Tuesday at 7, live on Fox Sports 2.
Tomorrow, Big East basketball presented by New York Life Insurance Company returns. 8th-ranked Villanova takes on St. John's at 3 p.m. Eastern. Georgetown faces Butler at 7 Eastern. Fox Sports 1, your home for Big East basketball all season long. Welcome back to Preseason Thunder at Daytona. Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, Darrell Waltrip with you from high above Daytona International Speedway, watching Casey Kane log laps.
You know, Mike, talking about Rusty being in the car, this car is very appealing. This car, from the first time I ever saw it, and I'm sure Rusty and some of the other guys, Mark and some of the other ASA guys, this car reminded me of cars we used to build back in the day for ASA with the big fender flares and the tops of the quarter panels and the cars. It looks like a real race car. And the other thing about it is it's safe. I mean, I know when I look at these cars and I compare to the cars, we were in the museum or at the Hall of Fame there the other day. I'm looking at the seat that Richard Petty had in his car, how he hung onto that thing for 500 laps at Bristol, and I don't know. And then I look at the cars today with the way these seats are, and you're in a little compartment, a little cocoon, tucked back in there nice and comfortable. You don't have to worry about your neck getting tired. You don't have to worry about getting thrown around inside the car. So they're safe, and they're fast. And here's the key, and you hear it. We heard it all last year. They're fun to drive. These cars are fun to drive.
What we knew then about the science of race cars could get you hurt. What we know now helps keep you safe. But one thing I heard earlier, Brad was talking about how he had a Rusty Wallace t-shirt. Watch Denny Hamlin. Yesterday, we were on the sprint stage giving the fans the introduction of how they can vote for various aspects of the Sprint Unlimited that we'll have here next month at Daytona. And Denny Hamlin started getting on Jeff Gordon's case, saying, hey, you know, when I was a kid, I was a member of your fan club. He was trying to make Jeff feel a little on in years, and Jeff offered him an AARP card, and Denny wasn't quite ready for that. And Jimmy Johnson got in the fun, and, you know, there was the good-natured jousting that you talked about. It still goes on. Maybe it's not quite as public as it used to be when you and Rusty and Dale were doing it every week, but it's still there. We heard a little bit of that yesterday.
Yeah, well, when I look at the cars today, back our cars, we sit on our cars. I mean, basically, it was like you were sitting up on top of something, like you sit up on the seat. Now you sit down in the cars. You get down in there and you get all tucked in, and you feel nice and safe and sound.
Yeah, I think Michael Waltrip said it the other day on our conference call. Let's take a look at Denny Hamlin's season first, and then we'll talk about that.
Tough start to it as he and Joey Logano. Now there you talk about a war of words that boiled over. There it goes. He said, I meant to turn Denny, but I did not mean to wreck him or hurt him.
Yeah.
But Hamlin was hurt. And it certainly put a damper on most of his season. And as you said earlier in this telecast, Darrell, Homestead was the shining light that put this number 11 team back on track.
He got back in the car. Was it Darlington he got back in the car? I think after he was out for a little while, he got back in the car, run second. Almost won that race.
And came back the next week at Charlotte and had a great
race. And then I don't know what happened. The wheels went off. They had some engine problems and so forth. But to end the season, if there's a race you want to win, if you've had a bad year and you want to end your year on a high, win that. Think about Jeff Gordon. Jeff had a terrible year a couple years ago, but he won Homestead. It just gets you, kind of puts all those bad races behind you, gives you something to look forward to.
Well, and I think it was really weighing on Denny Hamlin because last year was his 8th consecutive season to be running full-time in Sprint Cup. He had never missed the chase until last year. Couldn't do anything about that. But he had never won a season, including his rookie year, that he didn't win a race. And I think that was weighing on him, and you could see that relief on his face and in his interview after getting that win and keeping that streak alive at Homestead.
Yeah, a lot of people maybe don't keep up with things like that, and maybe they don't put a great importance on it, but the driver does. You know, when you sit down and look at your resume, you sit down and look at what you've done, you don't want holes in there. You want everything filled in with a number.
Well, we've long said you're as good as your last race or you're as good as your last season. And it was Mark Donohue who won the first ever IROC race here at Daytona, who said at the end, at midnight, win or lose, the clock turns back to 0.
Yeah.
So let's restart the clock here for Joe Gibbs Racing. There's their lineup for 2014, just as it was 1 year ago, except Matt Kenseth comes in here not as the new guy, but as the fellow who nearly won the championship last year with a revitalized Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamlin trying to claw his way back to the top of this heat.
Yeah, I mean, I think about Matt Kenseth. He could have won that championship pretty easily if it hadn't been for Phoenix. And I'm sure they're still scratching their head, and maybe when we get back to Phoenix, it wouldn't surprise me if we go back to Phoenix in a few weeks, he dominates and wins the race. And they'll never know why he ran so poorly out there last year.
Yeah, I think the most significant thing about that lineup from 2013, we have 36 points races. Those 3 drivers, they won 12 of the 36. That's a third of our races last year.
And then there's this guy.
Oh, 6 times.
That's him right there.
6-pack.
6-pack. There's always one. That's my favorite thing. When I look at periods of time in the sport, every about 10 years or so, there's always one nail that sticks up a little higher than all the rest.
So let's talk dynasties and wonder who might be next. Richard Petty won 7 championships. Once Dale Earnhardt started winning championships, Richard never won another. Earnhardt won 7 championships. Once Jeff Gordon started winning, that was the end of that. Jeff won 4, and since Jimmy started, well, it's been all Jimmy Johnson. Is this dynasty? As we have a look at
that restart there,
that restart
ended the opportunity.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did, but here he comes.
Well, you know, it's funny because Rick Hendrick and I were talking about the 48 team, and he asked me, he said, what do you see that they need to work on? They seem to be flawless. I said, restarts. I said, if they have an issue, it almost cost him at Phoenix. It almost cost him, it did cost him at New Hampshire, and it almost cost him at Homestead. I said, I don't know what they do or what they need to focus on, but it looked to me like if they have a weakness, it's been restarts.
But everybody in the sport is wondering, who's next? What's the next dynasty, or is Jimmy Johnson going to continue winning championships late into this decade?
Just remember, there's only so much sand in the hourglass.
Okay.
And it's been turned upside down several years ago, and it's just still running. But sooner or later, you run out of sand.
Well, Rusty's brought another truckload of sand here, and he's filled up his hourglass to climb in the number 2, the Team Penske Ford, and run a few laps here in this Daytona test.
Well, and I think the other significance of him making laps here, I know he got the challenge from Ron Malik with Jimmy Johnson, got the challenge from Brad Keselowski. but this is also commemorating the 25th anniversary of his 1989 championship. Because of his 55 wins, he won 39 races driving for Miller Lite. And I might add, speaking of 25 years, this commemorates the 25th anniversary of DW's win in the 1989 Daytona 500.
That's right. I stopped doing the math.
A lot of camels on that cake.
It'll be kind of fun because, Daytona's we're down here testing by yourself. You're out on the track alone. And so, but it'll be kind of interesting. I bet when Rusty gets out of that car, and he tells them, if my car driven as good as this car does, I would have won a lot more races.
And when he climbed aboard, Paul Wolf, who there you see Paul in the blue shirt and the headset, said, "Welcome aboard, champ." And that's Rusty's son, Greg, up there, who helps Rusty with a lot of his business interests, keeping a watchful eye on Dad.
You know, Darrell, what you just said was what I was going to say a while ago. We had our first NASCAR on Fox conference call earlier in the week, and I think Michael Waltrip put it in perspective. He said today's car is physically easier to drive, but it's much more harder mentally.
Yeah, well, you know why? It's because it's so fast. I mean, what happened?
That's the fastest lap the Deuce has turned today.
Yes, it is, by about 7 100ths.
It's probably all that left side weight. It's probably got a lot better aero balance with all that weight on the left side like that.
You guys are a couple of Hall of Flamers today. I'll tell you. You just
better hope he doesn't get the microphone back.
If they tell him how fast he's going, he won't like that.
Smoke's in the house at Daytona Preseason Thunder.
It's UFC Fight Night on Fox Sports 1.
He turned.
Two ferocious top 10 strikers collide as Luke Rockhold battles Kostas Philippou. Plus, submission specialist Cole Miller is out to neutralize the explosive Sam Sicilia. UFC Fight Night, Wednesday on Fox Sports 1.
Golden Corral is the best deal in America.
That is music to my ears.
Golden Corral is a gift to my wallet. Only Golden Corral could give you the whole delicious restaurant for one incredibly low price.
I like the sound of that.
It's scrumptious appetizers, endless entrees like our premium 5-ounce sirloin filet, and desserts including our new non-stop, irresistible triple fountain yum.
Can't beat the price.
Or the food.
Or the triple fountain yum.
It's all on our endless buffet for one low price, and it's only at Golden Corral.
Best deal in America.
Period.
I'll just have a Coke.
I'll have a chocolate cherry grape Coke, please.
A what? Breakfast time.
I like getting my taste buds up and running. Morning, gents.
Yeah.
Here's a little chocolate, here's a little cherry, here's a little grape, and then you got some cola in there, too. Deal with it, and I'll see you, I'll see you at lunch.
Right.
Rise and sip. Large fountain drinks for just 99 cents before 10 a.m. at your morning drink stop. This is how you Sonic.
Welcome back. How was everything?
There's nothing like being your own boss. And my customers are really liking our flat rate shipping.
FedEx One rate.
Really makes my life easier.
Maybe a promotion is in order.
Good news. I got a new title.
And a raise?
Management couldn't make that happen.
Introducing FedEx One Rate. Simple flat rate shipping with the reliability of FedEx.
Jeepers! It's the creeper!
What do we do now?
It's a mystery.
I know. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Zoinks! It's Lucy, like our favorite State Farm agent lady.
Hi, gang. I'll handle it. And that's not really a monster.
Mr. Carswell!
You meddling kids.
State Farm takes the mystery out of dealing with insurance. Get to a groovier state.
Tonight on Fox Sports Live, we'll recap all the NBA and NHL action and preview the NFL divisional playoff games. Tonight at 11 Eastern on Fox Sports 1.
Welcome back to NASCAR Preseason Thunder. You're watching four-time champion of what's now the Sprint Cup Series, Jeff Gordon, in his drive to end Hunter Chevrolet. He is ninth fastest in the hour and a half of practice so far. Let's run the day down for you. This practice was scheduled to end originally at 5 p.m. NASCAR has extended practice until 9 p.m. tonight under the lights. Our telecast will continue to its originally scheduled time of 5 p.m., but then Fox Sports 1 will return to the air from Daytona at 7 p.m. tonight for 1 hour of live bonus coverage. So we're here until 5, and then we'll be back at 7 Eastern until 8 Eastern with continued coverage from Preseason Thunder. So thanks to everyone at Fox for making that possible for us to bring you as much of this Daytona test as we can. Right now, Denny Hamlin, fastest in a Toyota. His teammates, Matt Kenseth and Kyle Busch, are also in the Fast 5, while the rest of the top 10 has Chevrolets and 1 Ford, that being Joey Logano. So here's a look at the schedule. And then tomorrow, Nationwide Series Preseason Thunder. Coverage begins on Fox Sports 1 at 3 p.m. Eastern Time.
Being around tonight in that 1 hour that we'll be on the air, Larry knows, and everybody in the garage, it really, the intensity picks up as the clock winds down. There's guys that'll be running around down there wanting to make some serious changes, maybe even want to get out and do some drafting. And so sometimes that last couple of hours of practice, it gets real hectic, it gets real crazy, and I'm glad we're going to be here to keep an eye on everything.
Been interesting to see the progression in the garage area, from wrenches and toolboxes to shock dynos to laptops. Jeff Hammond.
Yeah, Mike, back in my day, it was a stopwatch, a clipboard, and probably a tape measure. But now when a car comes in, before it goes up on jack stands, they fill it full of fuel, they make some measurements, and a group of guys with laptops just literally swarm over this car, start plugging into it, and downloading all the information. Once it's downloaded, take a look at where it goes. Look over behind what this RCR group has got set up behind me here. All these tables with different laptops, with different crews working on different parts, whether it's an engine analyst, whether it's chassis, whether it's aero, everybody's working through. And you see they have a large monitor over here right in the back side of this, and you see the crew right now looking around there, watching the car, what they've downloaded from the car just recently, the 31 car of Ryan Newman. So we talk about technology coming to NASCAR. Each year, it seems like it gets bigger and bigger. They get more data, and here at RCR, each one of these cars has a specific task to get certain things accomplished. Shortly, we're going to see Austin Dillon, who's been very quick right off the truck. He's actually going to take time. They're going to change engines. They want to try a total engine package. One of the other cars is going to try a transmission package. Other guys are working on suspension components. So as they go through the day, watch this entire organization amass a ton of data. And they'll go back to the shop, go back to tonight even, and start doing this and analyzing what's going on so they can get these cars faster each and every time they go out.
Darrell, we've been talking about uniforms from the past. Do you think Jeff Hammond's winning Daytona 500 uniform will still fit him?
If he left the front of it unzipped, it wouldn't. But he left out.
I got better looking with mine.
Yeah, let me tell you something. He left out 2 of the most important things he has in his toolbox. WD-40. If it was stuck, he'd spray WD-40 on it.
Yep.
And gray tape. If something was loose, you just tape it up.
You forgot the third thing, Darrell. You got to have a big hammer.
And a hammer.
You got a hammer on some of that stuff. And most of the time, it was on the driver.
Yeah, on the driver's seat.
All right, but seriously, folks, the difference between Preseason Thunder and a regular Sprint Cup race weekend, one big difference: instrumentation. Onboard diagnostic equipment is not allowed during the regular race season. But all of the sensors and transmitters, transponders that are on these cars to help these engineers gather data, you won't see that on a regular race weekend.
No, but it was always fun to come and test because we had a little dash, a little component that we would add to the car called a PI system. It was a system that we put on the car with all kinds of sensors, all kinds, maybe a limited number, exhaust gas temperatures, shock travels, a few things like that. But you always had a tach and a speedometer, and you could see how fast you were going down the back straightaway. So if you made a change on the car and you went out and all of a sudden you're going down the back and you picked up a mile an hour or two, you knew that, man, this thing we're going somewhere now, because the changes are so minute that sometimes the driver really can't just feel it. But when we had those PI systems in the car and with electronic timing and everything, which was kind of unique at the time, it was fun. It was kind of make testing a little bit more fun.
Hey, Darrell.
Yo.
Hey, real quick, you're talking about the things as far as the past was concerned. You remember that first year we started actually measuring exhaust gas temperatures, and we had all the gauges, all 8 cylinders across the dash at Talladega?
I remember it well. Do you remember it?
I'll never forget it. Maybe NASCAR may not appreciate it, but back in that time, Darrell, go ahead and tell them what we did.
So we got all these gauges lined up across the dash over to the right, and we're at Talladega, and these cars are running 200 mile an hour then. And so every time I'd go and come back in, they'd say, well, what did that gauge say? What did that gauge say? Well, I said, are y'all crazy? Do y'all think I'm going to ride around out here looking at gauges? If you want to know what the gauges say, put some dummy in here with me to watch them, and you can tell
Let me guess who that dummy was.
So Hammond says, he's over in the corner jumping out, pick me, pick me.
Oh, no.
So he gets in the back seat of the car, what would be the back seat of the car, sitting down in between the roll bars with a pad and a paper, and we're going around Talladega 200 mile an hour, and he's writing down numbers.
And that, folks, is why we now have sensors and transponders throughout these cars. Oh, my gosh. Bob?
Mike, after that story, I would say sometimes change is a good thing.
Yeah,
okay?
no kidding.
But we're seeing a lot of change in this garage area here this year at Daytona testing. Among them, the 83 car. David Ruderman and BK Racing parting ways a couple of weeks ago. And testing down here was last year's NASCAR Nationwide Series regular Alex Bowman. So the big question is, might we see you in this car full-time this year?
I sure hope so. I mean, I don't really know what's going on. I'm just down here learning and trying to adapt to these cars and get as much seat time as I can. I don't have anything going on for 2014, so just got to thank all the guys at BK Racing for letting me drive it for the test, and hopefully it turns into a relationship for 2014.
What have you learned so far down here in Daytona in this Cup car?
You hold it wide open and you turn left. I mean, it's really similar to driving an HY car around this place. I mean, I learned a ton testing Charlotte in these cars, but when it comes to single car runs here, it's about the same as running an HY car. There's not really much difference.
Alex Bowman, one of the rising young stars of our sport, but the teammate to the 83 car here at Daytona is the 93. Ryan Truex in that car down here. I have texted back and forth with Travis Quapple. He's home in North Carolina right now taking care of some personal matters, but Travis insists he still is the full-time driver of the 93 for BK Racing.
Mike Claire, you know how I know this is going to be one of the most exciting years we've had in a long time? Did you see that yellow bumper? There's going to be a lot of them in the field.
That's true. Here's another one.
And you know what they do? They create a lot of excitement. They do things you know that old saying, that what they don't know, they don't know. They learn fast, but what they don't know is going to be fun to watch.
But you're right, Darryl. You look at Austin Dillon in the 3. Think about Kyle Larson, Mike Lynette, Justin Allgaier, possibly Alex Bowman. The biggest field of really competitive rookies that we have had in a long, long time.
Cole Witt, Parker Kligerman. I mean, that list just keeps going on and on.
I'm giving it my everything. I dedicated my very being of sacrifice.
What's harder than fighting in the most grueling tournament on television? Doing it with an entire country on your shoulders. The toughest fighters from Canada and Australia live together, train together, and fight for the pride and glory of their nation and to become the next Ultimate Fighter.
Winning this means everything.
The Ultimate Fighter Nations, an all-new series, Wednesday on Fox Sports 1.
You see this? KFC Go Cup. Yeah. I got a piece of the new extra crispy boneless chicken in there with some wedges. It's only $2.49. That's not wrecking my budget. When they said $2.49, that had to be a mistake. The money that I don't spend on Go Cups, I can spend on ladies. Girl, let's go for an evening stroll. You know, I used to date a girl who lived right there.
Yeah?
Nah, but I wish I did. That's a nice house.
Well, another great thing about all this walking I've been doing is it's given me time to reflect on some of life's biggest questions. Like, if you could save hundreds on car insurance by making one simple call, why wouldn't you make that call? See, the only thing I can think of is you can't get any bars. It's better. There's a beautiful view. I wonder if I can see Mount Rushmore from here.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Alka-Seltzer Plus presents The Cold Truth.
I have a big meeting when we land, but I'm so stuffed up I can't rest.
Truth is, NyQuil Cold and Flu liquid gels don't unstuff your nose.
They don't?
Nope. They don't have a decongestant.
Really?
Really. Alka-Seltzer Plus Night fights your worst cold symptoms, plus has a fast-acting decongestant to relieve your stuffy nose. Alka-Seltzer Plus.
Oh, what a relief it is.
Can't find Theraflu? Try Alka-Seltzer Plus for fast liquid cold and flu relief.
What is focus? It's a wondrous sensation of clarity and alertness. It's owning your opponent. It's knowing beyond a doubt you got this. It's keeping your head down, your eye on the ball, and knocking it out of the park. It's getting in the zone. It's keeping on your toes, on target, on top. Focus is staring the world in the face and saying, bring it. Focus is power. Focus is life. And 5-Hour Energy is focus.
Welcome back to Daytona and preseason thunder. 40 cars on track in this hour and a half of practice so far. Mark Martin continuing to drive the number 14 through this practice session. So where's the smoke show? Here's Matt.
Down in the garage area, Mike, and the fans are through the window waiting for autographs and all their die casts lined up. They can see you're walking around fairly well. For the folks at home, where are you as far as your recovery goes, Smoke?
We're coming along. I mean, we're not even going to be healed up when we get here for February. It's the bones are still going to take a little longer than that, but feeling good. And it's nice to get out of the cold a little bit. That seems to help it a lot, just getting back, in warmer weather. But it's coming. It's a work in progress. It's it's hard to know exactly where it's at right now, but the good thing is I'm confident in 4 more weeks when we come back here, we're going to be in good shape.
Not in the car, but a great opportunity for you to see how your new crew chief, Chad Johnson, works with the guys and the communication back and forth, so you can pick up some nuances for when you return.
Yeah, it is. Have worked with Chad before, so just coming here and listening to him and seeing him work with the guys and seeing the chemistry here, and not only with Chad, but all 4 of our teams here. It's the atmosphere with these guys has been unbelievable. So I think it's the best shape that we've been in since we partnered up with Gene Haas and Haas Automation. So pretty proud of this whole organization. Everybody on all 4 teams have done an awesome job in a short amount of time to, working with a building that's getting retrofitted and a new building going on next door and adding a 4th team. There's been a lot of stuff go on this winter, but I've never seen the atmosphere better than what it is right now.
Typically this week in January on the Smoke Racing calendar, you'd be heading to Tulsa for the annual Chili Bowl Nationals. You're going, but this year it's an added twist with a very touching memory.
Yeah, we're part of something pretty cool. We're partnered up with Bob East and Juliana Patterson, who was Jason Leffler's girlfriend, and Juliana and Jason were going to build a car for Chili Bowl for this year, and so it was her idea to go ahead and build a car, and Bob East is behind it. He's donating the car. We're donating the driveline minus the motor, and it's actually getting raffled off 2 weeks after the Chili Bowl's over, so a fan's going to have a pretty cool opportunity just to have a piece of racing history, and our good buddy Casey Kane is going to drive for us, so it's cool for him and I to get to work together again, and we were both really good friends with Jason, so it's nice to be able to do this and Charlie and help him out.
And if you want to learn more, go to starnetdp.com/Charlie to see more about this initiative. And one other question for you. You're seeing drivers getting in and out of their cars as they're going out on the racetrack. What's going to be the hardest thing for you, do you think, getting back in the car?
Getting in it's going to be the hard part. I've had to get a seat fitted at the shop since the end of the season, and it's a little bit of a struggle to get in and out because you're twisting in and out of the car, but that's the hardest part. Once you get in there, it's real comfortable. It feels like an old pair of shoes that you put back on, so it's not a huge drama there. It won't be the most comfortable thing getting in and out, but we don't have to do that when we're on the track.
All right, thanks, Mike.
All right, thanks.
Mike?
Tony Stewart on the mend, and a great effort to help honor the memory of Jason Leffler at the Chili Bowl. Tony Stewart driving to victory at Daytona in the Nationwide Series. The grinding last lap that saw Stewart end up in victory lane. And the question continues, can he, will he win the Daytona 500?
I tell you, some of the races I've seen him run, the Saturday races, are so reminiscent of watching Earnhardt drive some of those races. He's like almost like a cat. He could just find the hole.
And you see the area where the fencing has been strengthened and reinforced after Kyle Larson's car got into the fence in that last lap crash. Large pieces of debris up against the fence. The engine ended up, well, right about there at the bottom of the screen. Right there on this side of the fence. The engine was restrained by those cables. Some parts and pieces did end up in the crowd. Some people were injured and treated at the hospital for those injuries. And track president Joey Chitwood went and sat in that area, spoke with people the next morning, getting ready for the 500, and offered to reseat anyone who wished to move from that area. Most everybody held their ground and enjoyed the race from that location.
Safety is a moving target. When we think we got our arms around it, something surprises us.
It says Stewart Haas Racing at the top of this graphic, but that place has kind of taken on a new nickname that's moved south from Winston-Salem. Some people are calling it the Madhouse. Look at that driver lineup, and maybe you'll see why.
Well, and you've got 3 new crew chiefs over there as well. You heard Tony Stewart talking to Matt Yoakum about his new crew chief, Chad Johnston. Kevin Harvick has Rodney Childers over there coming from Michael Waltrip Racing. And Kurt Busch has Daniel Noss, who has actually been the team engineer for the 39. So the only thing that's really the same at Stewart Haas Racing from the way they ended 2013 with Tony being hurt is Danica Patrick with her crew chief, Tony Gibson.
Yeah, and I said it was Lady in the Champs. Which, you know, and somebody said, well, Harvick had 2 nationwide championships, so they're all championships.
That's pretty good. That's good.
Lady and the Champs.
That fits. We'll see how it all works out. Austin Dillon, Brian Scott, Denny Hamlin, Matt Kenseth, and Kyle Busch, the Fast 5 in Daytona.
Here we go. The new home for Monster Energy Supercross is Fox Sports 1.
That was awesome!
The best riders in the world risk it all to win it all.
It doesn't get any better than that.
Monster Energy Supercross, live from Phoenix, tomorrow at 9:30 on Fox Sports 1.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. With one phone call, you'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information. It's a free service, so call now.
800-215-6073. 800-215-6073.
Non-lawyer paid spokesperson. Attention Pradaxa users. If you are hospitalized for internal bleeding, or if a loved one died from internal bleeding after taking Pradaxa, call right now. The FDA warns that using the blood thinner Pradaxa may cause serious, possibly fatal internal bleeding. Never stop taking medication before asking your doctor. But if you or a loved one was hospitalized for internal bleeding after taking Pradaxa,
call our lawyers at 800-396-9231 for a free claim review.
Even when you're in aisle 4, you're never far from home. With Xfinity Home, you can set your alarm as you stock up the house. Check in on your best friend while you're at work. And even adjust your thermostat when you're out and about. Plus, you can add 24/7 professional monitoring. Xfinity Home gives you a total home security and control solution that simplifies your life. This is easy. This is simple. This is awesome. This is Xfinity Home.
Saints, Seahawks. Sunday, 49ers, Panthers. The NFC Divisional Playoffs, only on Fox.
This is it. This is where the months of preparation and planning lead to. This is where a missed detail is a missed opportunity. From here, there's no looking back, only forward. In this moment, one tick of a watch separates victory from defeat. It's time to go sports car racing.
That is blue sky. We certainly didn't see any of that until about 1 o'clock today. Over the last couple of days here at Daytona. There's the garage area for the Sprint Cup Series, and on the roof of the garage area, that is now part of the Sprint Fan Zone, where folks can get up on that fan deck and watch their favorite drivers coming in and out and checking out all the... Is that Hammond? It is!
Well, Mike, you talked about the blue skies. I had to come up here and work on my tan just a little bit, but also hanging out with my people. I mean, this is the fan deck, as you've already alluded to, and this is not only a test session for NASCAR, but it's also time for the fans, kind of like to have a little festival. Fan Fest, NASCAR calls it. And this is an opportunity to come up here, lean over. You get an opportunity to watch whether Danica Patrick or Tony Stewart or whoever wants to come in and out of their haulers. They can holler at them, wave at them, take pictures, and they can kind of see what's going on. It's really a cool idea, and it's one of the big pluses about here at Daytona Speedway as far as one of the improvements they made in recent years. And again, great place to watch what's going on here, but you can also see it entirely around this racetrack, so you can watch your favorite driver making those laps. Matt?
And Jeff, you talk about the fans. We're right here in the garage of Carl Edwards, and a lot of times you can walk out and fans will use like a fishing pole and drop down hats for guys. That you've done that before, haven't you?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that have been signed here the last couple of days at Daytona. I'm just glad it's sunny, 75. We're driving race cars. It's pretty cool. I didn't think we were going to get on the track today, so it's really good for us, our whole Fast and All team.
Now, of anybody in the garage area, I'm sure you're going to go out when they have drafting and maybe do some drafting or something like that. You never had issues here, have you?
Jimmy will have me chained to that table over there when drafting starts if they have any. We will not participate in any of that.
What are you trying to learn in single car runs?
We're just doing the things that we're trying to all the things that we think can make this car faster. Just little stuff. Jimmy's got a lot of ideas. I think he lays awake at night and thinks of crazy stuff. He's been doing that for a long time, and he just told me some ideas he has that are pretty neat. So we're going to try all that here in these single car runs. Hopefully something works. The
Spoiler, other small modifications for this year with the rules package. Are you seeing a big change from last year to this year?
Not a real big change. By yourself out here, you can't feel much. The car does travel a little bit farther with the bigger spoiler, but until we get in a group and run, which will be a while for me, I don't think we're going to really know how these cars are going to handle.
All right, thank you, Carl.
Thanks.
Bob?
Jamie McMurray, a former Daytona 500 champion down here, 20th quick so far, but I heard that car was dragging on the racetrack. Did you finally get it up off the ground?
Well, actually, I don't know that dragging's a bad thing. It's so hard to get the cars to travel with how stiff the springs are in the rear now that if you can get it to drag a little, it means the spoiler's out of the air. So that's not totally a bad thing.
Definitely not a bad thing, especially with the little bit extra on the spoiler for this year for the Cup Series. But, you know, what do you want to come out of this test with right now? I see your guys with your crew chief, you know, Keith Rodden, chemistry, that sort of thing. What's the biggest thing?
Well, it's important for us to work together as a group. We did get the Charlotte test, but some of the guys are still on vacation. So this is really our first test with our new team. But Daytona is somewhat unique. I mean, you want to be fast by yourself, but it's really about getting your car where it's good in the draft. And so I hope that we get to do at least one draft. I think the spoiler will make the racing a little better because you'll be able to push the guy and actually make up some ground on the guys that aren't pushing. So I'm anxious to get out there and get to do a little bit of drafting. I don't think we'll do a lot because we crashed here last year in the test, and it makes it a lot of work for the guys back at the shop. So hopefully we'll get one drafting session with our McDonald's Chevy and then probably just do single car runs the rest of the time.
Always a big worry, the draft here, and the big one, even during testing. But guys, these drivers, just itching to do drafting here at Daytona.
Well, you heard that Carl Edwards was not going to be allowed to draft. There was a little laugh and a little irony in his voice, and you have to go back and look at last year and see why. First, here's what Jamie McMurray was talking about.
This was the big one. And we're just practicing. And remember, these guys, most of them only had one race car.
And that was in the middle of the straightaway. That wasn't in the corner.
Right. That's where the cars are really actually the loosest if somebody gets into you.
And now, Carl Edwards, Speed Weeks last year, he went through what, five
race cars between testing and actual Speed Weeks. He was in that same wreck with Jamie McMurray. They brought a backup, one of the few teams that actually had a backup car at the test session.
And that's Sprint Unlimited practice. Car number 2. Sprint Cup practice. The duel at Daytona to set the 500 lineup. Not a great Speed Weeks for the 99 team.
Well, he ended up finishing, being credited with 33rd place in the 500, and a lot of those cars actually saw the racetrack on 2 different occasions. They would repair it and bring it back down here.
Yeah, and you know, I said that the cars are the loosest on the straightaway. I know that may not make sense to some folks, but when the car is going in a straight line, the back of the car comes up a little bit. Once in the banking, the car sinks into the banking, and you've got the banking and the rebound on the shocks and everything to hold the car down on the racetrack. But when you're going down the back straightaway, the back of that car comes up in the air and it gets a little light. So if you get a tap from the rear just in the wrong place, it'll send that car spinning. And that's what we saw down here last year. That's why they added that little bit more to the spoiler, because we saw a lot of cars in traffic like that, hard to hang on to and really out of control. I remember, I think Greg Biffle, a couple of different times, we were reading the 16 on the side of his car coming off of turn 4. And so I think putting a little more spoiler on the car was a good move.
We talked yesterday about changes that will be hard to get used to. For example, when a driver climbs into a new ride, but the paint scheme is the same as last year, and that'll be much the case for Ryan Newman, who moves over to Richard Childress Racing. He hops into the number 31, the Caterpillar Chevrolet, the car that Jeff Burton drove last year.
And you know, Burton had some pretty good runs at Daytona and Talladega with some of his best finishes in that car.
Yeah, he'll be working with the same crew chief that Jeff worked with, Luke Lambert. Ryan Newman has that one win back at the 50th annual Daytona 500 back in 2008.
Which was one that caused Tony Stewart a win, because Tony and I think it was it Kyle that looked like they were dominating the race, and all of a sudden here comes
and Kurt. Yeah,
Kurt, that's right. And all of a sudden here comes Ryan.
So when Harvick moved to Stewart-Haas, that opened up a seat at RCR. Newman gets into the 31. Kurt Busch to the new 4th team that Gene Haas added at Stewart-Haas, and Martin Truex Jr. leaving Michael Waltrip Racing for Furniture Row, who is one of the teams that has chosen not to participate in preseason Thunder this week in Daytona.
I'm giving it my everything.
I dedicated my very being
of sacrifice.
What's harder than fighting in the most grueling tournament on television? Doing it with an entire country on your shoulders. The toughest fighters from Canada and Australia live together, train together, and fight for the pride and glory of their nation, and to become the next Ultimate Fighter.
Winning this means everything.
The Ultimate Fighter Nations, an all-new series, Wednesday on Fox Sports 1.
In 1994, Pizza Hut became the first ever online order. Now the biggest pizza destination in the world is at your fingertips. And to celebrate, we're offering 50% off pizzas ordered online when you sign up for Hut Lovers. But only through January 10th. That's 50%. Pizza Hut. Make it great.
She loves a lot of the same things you do. It's what you love about her. But your erectile dysfunction? That could be a question of blood flow. Cialis Tadalafil for daily use helps you be ready anytime the moment's right. You can be more confident in your ability to be ready. And the same Cialis is the only daily ED tablet approved to treat ED and symptoms of BPH, like needing to go frequently or urgently. Tell your doctor about all your medical conditions and medications, and ask if your heart is healthy enough for sexual activity. Do not take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain, as this may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Do not drink alcohol in excess with Cialis. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease or loss in hearing or vision, or if you have any allergic reactions such as rash, hives, swelling of the lips, tongue, or throat, or difficulty breathing or swallowing, stop taking Cialis and get medical help right away. Ask your doctor about Cialis for daily use and a 30-tablet free trial.
All right, guys, let's huddle up here and talk probiotics. For digestive health? Yes, and did you know that True Biotics is a daily probiotic that helps in 2 ways? It supports digestive and immune health by working in your gut, where 70% of your immune system lives. Try True Biotics today.
Get unheard of deals on durable, easy-to-install floors at Lumber Liquidators' laminate and vinyl plank flooring sale. All laminate flooring is 20 to 30% off our incredibly low prices. All vinyl plank 10% off. Plus, get special financing. Sales going on now at Lumber Liquidators.
Start the new year right at Subway,
where January is now Janu-Any, and any regular footlong is now a $5 footlong. Even low-fat favorites like the sweet onion chicken teriyaki. $5 footlong, January. Subway, eat fresh.
He was my idol.
He was grassroots.
He represented us.
He did what all of us dreamed of doing.
Dale was an inspiration. His racing style is what the real NASCAR racing is to me, but that aggressive racing.
He was the daredevil out there that didn't mind mixing it up and racing his roughing.
Dale Earnhardt meant everything to me, being a race fan. He was the icon of NASCAR. He pretty much set the standard to the working class guy like myself.
Oh, he meant everything. He was NASCAR. You know, he always will be. There'll never be a number 3 again. There'll never be another Dale Earnhardt.
And Dale Earnhardt, the Hall of Famer, was probably the first time that young Austin Dillon was ever in a victory lane, probably celebrating with his grandpa as Dale Earnhardt celebrated a win in victory lane. And right now the number 3 is in the garage because they're doing an engine change, and that gives us the opportunity to welcome Austin Dillon onto our set. So we want to welcome you here. We've talked a lot about the 3 coming back in the Cup Series. Do you feel any added pressure? 97 wins with that number, 12 different drivers. If you were to win, you would become the 13th different driver to win in the 3.
You know, I'm honored to be in the 3. This is special, and walking into this Cup garage this weekend is pretty cool. There's so many heroes in this garage for me, and just being in this garage is going to be some pressure. So I don't think there's some more added with the 3, obviously, because it's coming back for the first time in a long time. But it's been here for 4 years now, and I'm comfortable when I walk in the garage and jump in the seat, and it's been fun so far. Just excited about getting this season started.
Did your progression to the Sprint Cup Series happen quicker than you thought? Not as quick as you thought? What has surprised you along the way? Because you've kind of checked things off the list as you've gone. Are you where you thought you'd be at this point in your career? Because as Rick just reminded, you're only 23.
Yeah, I have to remind myself at time to time that I'm still really young. I'm 23 years old, and I've had a blast. You know, I feel like we've taken our time coming up through the Truck Series and Nationwide Series and done what we've had to do to get experience. And I'm really thankful for my grandfather, my dad, and everybody at RCR for letting me take that time, because not everybody has the opportunity to really grow and to get experience. So that's one great thing I can't thank them enough for. And I feel like now that we're going to the Cup Series prepared, and we've got a great team around us with a lot of experience. So I feel like we're ready for a good Cup season.
Now, you said come through the Truck Series and the Nationwide Series as the cars go by. We're right here in the garage, which we appreciate you joining us. But you haven't just come through those series. You were the Rookie of the Year in both the Truck Series and the Nationwide Series. You were a champion in the Truck Series and the Nationwide Series. Only one other driver has ever been a champion in those 2 series and moved on to the Cup Series, and Greg Biffle. You could be the first ever to win a championship in all 3 series. Have you ever looked at those types of numbers and things at the age of 23?
Yeah, it's very special. You know, anytime you can make a mark in our sport that has such a great history behind it, it's awesome. You know, I was able to do a lot with the guys right there, that picture, to win last year the Nationwide Championship. And the cool thing is we had really tough seasons when we battled out for championships all the way down the wire, especially last year with Sam Hornish. It was a great battle, and I'll never forget those experiences, and hopefully be able to take them and use them in this series.
All right, I want you to stick with us, because we've got one of your closest competitors standing by with Bob Dillner right now for the Rookie of the Year. Bob?
There you go.
Well, Austin Dillon's 23, Kyle Larson is 21, but take a look at this work down in this garage area. You got so many computers down here for Daytona testing, and they're working on the front end of this 42 car for Kyle Larson here while he's sitting inside the cockpit of the car, just relaxing a little bit right now after making some mock qualifying runs. So do you even know what they're working on right now?
No, not at all. I just I'm more to get in the car, make some laps, and see if we go faster each time. So having a lot more fun than I have been the last day and a half so far. But just excited to work with all these Target crew guys, and just glad to be back in the car. It's been feels like a long off season for me. So happy to be back in the car and ready to get the season started.
Have you learned anything so far being down here, taking this car out in the racetrack, and how to get it faster?
Yeah, I haven't. I mean, I don't know how to get the car to go any faster, but it's pretty. It's a lot different than the Nationwide car around here. I guess the rear end feels a little bit lighter than it did in the Nationwide car, and you're going a lot faster. It feels like you're not actually. It doesn't feel like it takes a whole lot of time to get around this track in a Cup car. So that'll be even more fun once we get in a draft. So hopefully get some cars out there that want to draft later today, and I can learn a lot doing that.
Back a couple months ago, you did that test, there at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and had those heat races, and I think you're out front there on one of those heat races. What did you learn then to apply to the rest of the year, especially gelling with this team?
Yeah, most of the tests that we've done, it's just been me getting to know all the guys and all that, and each and every time I get in the car, I do learn a lot. And there, even though they were heat races, I learned. I don't know if I learned, but I did get nervous when I saw them coming in my mirror at the end of that, just the 30-lap race. So hopefully that prepares me if I'm ever leading a race, during the regular season, where I don't get so nervous and don't make mistakes.
What about this rookie class? We got Austin Dillon on set with us right now, and he's listening to you. Is he your stiffest competition, you think, to go after this Rookie of the Year crown?
Yeah, for sure. He's the past Nationwide Series champion, and he's had success in everything he's driven, and he's in great equipment, and so am I. So it's gonna be a good battle between him and I, and also the rest of the rookies. This is I think one of the best rookie crops we've seen it a long time. So that's exciting for the fans as well as us. So if I could beat all those guys, it'd be saying something. So just excited to see what we have here, and you get going and try and be consistent and win that Rookie of the Year battle.
18th quick so far for Kyle Larson in this practice session. And how about this, Rick? They're all playing nice right now and saying, hey, we got a great competition. What's it going to be like mid-season when we can get right in the juxt of the season in this Rookie of the Year battle?
Well, and it isn't just a two-man battle. I mean, Kyle Larson and Austin Dillon may be the two biggest names in the fight, but you've also got quite a few other very talented drivers in this fight. Justin Allgaier, Michael Annett, Parker Kligerman, Cole Witt, very established drivers that have had success in other series that will be battling for that Rookie of the Year title.
And to get the trifecta, these are the competitors we just saw on the screen that you've got to beat. But going back to Kyle Larson, you two guys, full-time rides, good equipment, solid people around you. What's it going to take to beat Kyle Larson for Rookie of the Year?
Well, I think solid finishes for both of us. We both want to accomplish finishing races and get experience, and that's what's going to allow us to be the guy that wins Rookie of the Year. It's a championship within itself, just in those group of guys right there. So I feel like my experience of finishing races and trying to fight it out all the way to the end, grinding it out, it's going to be big to do that, because this is definitely a learning year and trying to gain experience every race we go to.
And Kyle Larson also will be running in the 24 hours here at Daytona, the Rolex race.
I don't know how he's going to do that.
Are you going to try that too?
Yeah, no, because he's been sleeping the last 2 days. 24 hours for him. I mean, he'll have to sleep for a week to recover.
You do know that they don't drive all 24 hours. They do get subs every now
Kyle
and
would
then.
try it as much as he likes to race.
He actually would. Well, Austin Dillon, thank you so much for joining us up here on set.
Thanks.
I know you're going to jump back to your car. Gil Martin just came and asked you a question while we were on set, so that was kind of fun. We're right here in the garage at Daytona International Speedway.
Big East Conference play continues on Fox Sports 1. Tomorrow, Javon Pinkston leads number 8 Villanova against St. John's. To the hoop. Then it's Georgetown taking on Butler. It all tips off tomorrow at 1 on Fox Sports 1. Presented by New York Life Insurance Company.
One car travels towards an intersection with wipers that streak and clog, while another travels towards the same intersection with wiper blades that don't let them see clearly. But between them, the Michelin Man with Michelin Stealth Wiper Blades, a revolution in wiper blade technology, combining SmartFlex construction for superior windshield contact with proven hybrid blade design for clog-free performance in rain, ice, and snow, helping you steer clear for the road ahead. Michelin Stealth Wiper Blades, a better way forward.
Available at the following retailers.
It's time to get more. More of what you love. Because getting more is what you get. With McDonald's new $1 menu and more. All your favorites are still here, plus a whole lot more. For just $1, get the crunchy, tangy, brand new barbecue ranch burger. And for only $2, bring home the thick cut Applewood smoked bacon on the new Bacon Cheddar McChicken. Only on the $1 menu and more. There's something for everyone to love at McDonald's.
Golden Corral is the best deal in America.
That is music to my ears.
Golden Corral is a gift to my wallet. Only Golden Corral could give you the whole delicious restaurant for one incredibly low price.
I like the sound of that.
It's scrumptious appetizers, endless entrees like our premium 5-ounce sirloin filet, and desserts including our new non-stop irresistible triple fountain yum.
Can't beat the price.
Or the food.
Or the triple fountain yum.
It's all on our endless buffet for one low price, and it's only at Golden Corral.
Best deal in America.
Period.
Yeah, I'm married. Doesn't matter. You do that for me? Really? Yeah, I'd like that.
Who are you talking to?
It's Jake from State Farm. Sounds like a really good deal.
Jake from State Farm at 3 in the morning? Who is this?
It's Jake from State Farm.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Khakis.
She sounds hideous.
Well, she's a guy, so.
Another reason more people stay with State Farm. Get to a better state.
On UFC Fight Night, two strikers collide as Luke Rockhold battles Costas Philippou. UFC Fight Night, Wednesday on Fox Sports 1.
You're looking at Brian Scott, who has been showing speed here in Daytona Preseason Thunder. Second fastest to his teammate for Daytona, Austin Dillon, with Denny Hamlin's Toyota, Matt Kenseth's Toyota, and now Joey Logano's Ford, making up the Fast Five. I believe that's the first time we've had a Ford in the top 5 all day. Let's meet the driver number 22 with Matt.
Mike, his car is up on jack stands here in the garage. You're making more adjustments to that Team Penske Ford, and you came up with a good idea. You saw Rusty Walsh getting in the Blue Deuce. Who would you like to go in the 22?
Well, we were thinking Bobby Allison because of the 22 and all, but right now it's just me. So I'm a Lone Ranger in this 22 car. So I'm going to stick to driving. The guys are doing a good job and working on this thing and getting some speed out of it right now.
Lone Ranger on the racetrack as well. Are you going to do any drafting at all for the rest of the day? Because yesterday, at one point, Todd Gordon, your crew chief, said he felt like that was in the game plan over the course of the 2 days. But since we've lost yesterday, has that changed?
Well, he's changed his mind to go to just single car runs. I'm still trying to change his mind back to drafting because that's the most fun for us in all honesty. But yeah, so right now it's just single cars, but I'm going to keep working on them. So it's TBD in my mind, but we'll have to wait and see. But we'll keep working on the show Pennzoil Ford. Like I said, we're finding some speed, we're finding some little things here and there, and that's what we're down here to do. And we'll come down here, we'll race when we get back.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Thanks.
Now here's an idea, and I'm going to put this one to the NASCAR Hall of Fame. At Notre Dame, every time a player is issued a football uniform number, he's given a card listing all the players in Notre Dame history who have worn that number. And I think it would be a good idea as drivers climb into new rides to know who preceded them with that new number. Another famous 22, Fireball Roberts, headed for the NASCAR Hall of Fame here later this month. So kind of a cool way to do it. Fireball won 30 times in the 22. Bobby Allison, 17 victories with that number. A fellow named Waltrip won the Daytona 500 in number 17 there, like Ricky Stenhouse currently drives.
I was going to say, if somebody gave Ricky Stenhouse a card with a 17 number, she'd have some pretty potent names on it.
Oh, yeah. Well, David Pearson was the reason I was so fascinated with that number, wanted that number, was because I love David Pearson. I just thought at the time he was the Silver Fox, man. Think back to our era. I always tell this story about Junior Johnson. A little boy in Owensboro listened to the race on the radio, and there's this guy named Junior Johnson, a moonshine runner from Wilkesboro, North Carolina, driving a 63 Chevrolet, only one in the field, with a 427 mystery motor. I'm thinking, how cool can this guy be? His name is Junior Johnson. He runs moonshine, and he's driving a car with a mystery motor in it. That is incredible.
He was so cool, Tom Wolfe wrote a story about it in Esquire that became legend and became a movie.
Yeah, and then I met David Pearson, the Silver Fox, and I loved the way he raced. He was truly the coolest guy on the racetrack.
I'm thinking those fellows who say it's just a number don't have the whole story. We'll be right back.
Incredibly rare, highly desirable, and up for grabs to the highest bidder. Barrett Jackson is back with the most valuable collection of American classics ever assembled. And for the first time on Fox, one of the rarest icons in American automotive history shines in the spotlight.
Wild machine.
Barrett Jackson, live from Scottsdale. The auction begins Tuesday on Fox Sports 2.
AT&T makes it easy to start your new year off right. Get a hot new smartphone for $0 down with AT&T Next. It's not complicated. A new smartphone for $0 down is better with AT&T Next.
Your brain sees exactly what it wants to, but what you see isn't always what's really there, which can only mean one thing. Brain Games is back on the National Geographic Channel. And with Dish's advanced technology, don't miss a second of Brain Games. With up to 2,000 hours of storage on Dish's whole home HD DVR, that's more than 83 days. Mind blown. Order now to get Dish and enjoy the new season of Brain Games, Monday at 9 on the National Geographic Channel.
Wow, this jumbo popcorn chicken's so great, huh?
I got the spicy ones for my tennis elbow.
It's a shame you got tennis elbow.
My doctor said I should spice it.
Yeah, probably ice it is what he said, seeing as how icing is a actual remedy and spicing is not.
He said ice it? I'm gonna live! Yeah!
Well, you just have tennis elbow.
Wait, I'm gonna live!
2 good cures for common hunger. Original and spicy jumbo popcorn chicken, starting at just $1.99. This is how you Sonic.
Protein Fight Club. Milk versus everything bagel. protein.
And no schmearing.
Got protein.
What is focus? It's a wondrous sensation of clarity and alertness. It's owning your opponent. It's knowing beyond a doubt you've got this. It's keeping your head down, your eye on the ball, and knocking it out of the park. It's getting in the zone. It's keeping on your toes, on target, on top. Focus is staring the world in the face and saying, bring it. Focus is power. Focus is life. And 5-Hour Energy is focus.
Your new home for Supercross, Fox Sports 1. This week, the tour rolls into Phoenix as the best riders in the world risk it all to win it all. Monster Energy Supercross live from Phoenix tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1. Casey Kane, 11th on the board right now. He and Jeff Gordon almost identical times in this test session. Let's go down to the garage and Bob.
Underneath this blanket right here is an engine for Joe Gibbs Racing and the number 18 machine, but this is another planned engine change. I just spoke to Jimmy Makar, one of the top brass at JGR, and I asked him, what type of combination are you trying? What specifically is different about that engine? He said, honestly, we're looking for speed, and that engine that you saw undercover right there has a lot of different things internally to try a different combination to see how it interacts with this big Daytona racetrack. So a planned engine change down here for Kyle Busch's boys with Dave Rogers, the crew chief. But just a moment ago, I saw something very interesting on one of the down bars on the front clip of this race car, that GoPro camera right there, capturing the images of that shock and the bump stop combination and the spring and so forth on the right front. They just took it off moments ago and are looking at that video right now. So interesting means of technology down here to see what that race car is doing out on the racetrack, Jeff Hammond.
And Bob, out on the racetrack right now, I'm here in front of the 21 car Wood Brothers car to talk about one of the minor changes that were done as far as the manufacturers are concerned during the offseason. Happened with the Fords. They've actually moved the front grille out because through that technology of 2013, they realized that this recessed grille was catching a lot more debris, especially on the open tracks like Phoenix, Las Vegas, Charlotte, and they needed to do something different. So NASCAR allowed them to submit a new nose for this year. This grille has been moved out about 1/4 inch to be able to make it more flush so that when they get ready to go back to those other racetracks, when they start opening this area back up to take air into the radiator, then it will be more like the other manufacturers. We won't have to worry about the debris. A lot of times during the course of the race in 2013, you saw a lot of these cars overheating because of debris on the grill, having to either get up behind somebody to change the air pressure to lose it, or having to make an unscheduled pit stop to get it cleaned off. So guys, one of the improvements to the Fords this year happens to be the front nose on this car.
But now, Jeff, about that grille, last year when the Gen 6 car was developed, it was important to Ford that they use an actual production car grille. And due to front-end collisions, a couple of them popped off onto the racetrack and caused cautions last year. Is the grille a separate piece, or is it now molded as part of the nose?
It's all molded part of the nose right now, Mike. You can see me moving it around. It's all part of that molded in nose piece that goes in here, so we shouldn't have that kind of problem, this year. But it still has so much of a resemblance to what the passenger car you see on the street today that they're not really giving up a whole lot, but it does help them a lot as far as the competitiveness of this car.
But here's the irony. Remember when they came down here and they restricted the opening to the grills and everybody said the Fords had a huge advantage? And they're the guys with the heating problem. Because they had a great engine package with their water package that they had for that engine. It could run hotter than everybody else, and it was a good thing because they were going to find out with this car that they were going to have a problem.
Car number 2 back on track with Rusty Wallace at the wheel of Brad Keselowski's car, and we'll be back with more preseason Thunder after this.
Big East Conference play continues on Fox Sports 1. Tomorrow, Javon Pinkston leads number 8 Villanova against St. John's. To the hoop. Then it's Georgetown taking on Butler. It all tips off tomorrow at 1 on Fox Sports 1. Presented by New York Life Insurance Company.
This is it. This is where the months of preparation and planning lead to. This is where a missed detail is a missed opportunity. From here, there's no looking back, only forward. In this moment, one tick of a watch separates victory from defeat. It's time to go sports car racing.
Coming up tonight on Fox Football Daily, Super Bowl winning coach Jimmy Johnson joins us to preview the NFL's divisional round. That's tonight at 6 p.m. right here on Fox Football Daily.
Breaking news update for birth control users. It has been reported that an agreement has been reached to settle lawsuits filed on behalf of women who claim they were seriously injured by Yaz birth control pills. Injuries include lung and leg blood clots, stroke, and even death. If you have used Yaz, Yasmin, B-Yaz, or Ocella and have been injured, time to file your claim is running out. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation.
Call 1-800-251-5010.
U.S. Med has great news for anyone living with diabetes.
If you have Medicare, private insurance, or prescription drug coverage, U.S. Med will ship a new glucose meter right to your home.
And shipping is free.
My new meter uses only a speck of blood.
Act now, and U.S. Med will include a free prescription discount card. We'll also send you a free diabetes cookbook. This is your opportunity.
So call U.S. Med today.
You'll be glad you did.
And with U-verse, you can move your TV anywhere in the house.
We're happy with Xfinity. Why would we move the TV?
I don't know, but let me show you. Now, if you had the U-verse wireless receiver, you could take this anywhere. See? Anywhere you want.
Don't get youped by U-verse. Get the most entertainment on any device anywhere with Xfinity from Comcast.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. It's NASCAR Preseason Thunder on Fox Sports. The annual two-day test for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, and then one day, Saturday, for the Nationwide Series. Rain all day yesterday washed things out, and it continued this morning with a low fog layer and a lot of water on the track a couple of times. And then at 12:40 p.m. Eastern Time, Greg Biffle made the first lap on the track that anybody had made all week. Rookie Austin Dillon returned the number 3 to the Speedway in the Sprint Cup Series and quickly went to the top of the board. Denny Hamlin then ran the fastest lap, and then Dillon on the right with his grandfather and car owner Richard Childress took the fastest spot back. We'll be with you until 5 o'clock Eastern Time, and then since practice has continued till 9 p.m., we'll bring you 1 hour of bonus coverage live at 7 p.m. Eastern right here on Fox Sports 1. Tomorrow's Nationwide Series Preseason Thunder will air beginning at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, again here on Fox Sports 1. As we look ahead to Speed Weeks at Daytona in February.
No, we've been talking about these drivers and their teams having to adjust their agenda. We talked to Todd Gordon at the beginning of the show about his agenda with Joey Logano's 22 car. And I think we're seeing that with Austin Dillon and his 3 team. We're seeing it with Kyle Busch and the 18 team with these motor changes while the track is open for practice. If we had been normal on schedule without the weather, they maybe would have done that between the 2 days, or maybe during the hour lunch break each day, but they had to adjust it because that was one of their goals, is to come down here and try a couple of different engine combinations.
Yeah, you know, Mark Smith was just asking me about last year down here. Remember all the rear end housings that they were changing? I mean, they were going through rear end housings. I think it was Harvick's car. They put like 7 different rear end housings up under that car with different cambers in the rear end. You know, the right cambered in and straight up and down. They had all kind of rear ends that they were trying.
Looks like Chad Knaus and Jimmy Johnson may be trying a different rear end housing, possibly in that 48 car, Bob.
Indeed they are, Larry Mack. In fact, they made that change just a little while ago, trying a different rear end housing to try to see what they can get as far as speed around this racetrack. And sometimes we're talking about thousandths of a second better from one rear end housing to another. But they were also playing around on the front end of that machine. I wasn't quite sure exactly what they were working on, but this team down here very meticulous in their approach. Jimmy Johnson, top 10 in the speed charts right now. This team very, very happy with this race car. But Larry, as you alluded to, this is most likely not their Daytona 500 car. That's back in the shop right now being prepared, but this piece is so good they might want to reconsider that.
What is important here is that this is the team's only opportunity for instrumented testing at Daytona. So usually in practice, you have the stopwatch and the driver feel to go by, and then what you can measure on the car when it comes back into the garage. But these cars are loaded up with sensors and transponders and transmitters and onboard small miniature cameras, so that the team personnel and engineers have a whole lot more information and hard data to go by to determine the path forward.
Yeah, I mean, when you get finished testing now, you go home, and it's not just a driver debrief. You know, they ask the driver, you know what they're most worried for the driver? Is the driver compartment comfortable? Is there any things inside the car that we need to work on for you? They don't ask about the setup. They don't ask about anything about the car. Just be sure your areas, take care of your job. Everything's good inside the car, we'll take care of the rest. And then they start downloading stuff. I mean, engine information we never had. Car setup and what the car's doing through the bumps and around the track and in load and unload and how it transitions from straightaway to turn. See, this track is kind of, it's got two parts to it, in my opinion. You go down the back straightaway, that's all aero. If you got a nice, slick, aerodynamic package in your car, that car is going to make great speed down that back straightaway. And that's going to get you into the third turn with some good speed. The next part of the track that's important is off turn 2 and off turn 4. That's where you got to have horsepower. Because once you get that car in the corner and get it all loaded up, how you come out of the corner has a lot to do with the handling package, but it also has to do with you got any horsepower in the hood or not. Because that's how you get up out of the corner and get on the straightaway. So you got aero down the back, you got handling through the corner, and then you got horsepower up off the corner.
You know, it takes 26 races to make the chase, and then we have the 10 races in the chase. One big difference in Jimmy Johnson's last 2 seasons, just look at the difference from 2012 to 2013 at the 4 restrictor plate races. The only one he was still on the racetrack when the checkered flag in 2012 was this at Talladega in 17th, and he was still in that last lap crash. But look right there, he actually won both the races at Daytona last year.
But that's what this team does. That was a problem. They analyzed, have a problem at Talladega and Daytona. We're not finishing well. They went to work, and they fixed it. And that's probably the only team in the garage that can have a problem and fix it.
True.
Everybody else has a problem, and they work on all the symptoms, but they don't fix the problem.
So Jimmy Johnson logs laps. He is 5th fastest of all the 40 cars that have tested here so far. One team that has had a bit of a shakeup in the driver lineup is Michael Waltrip Racing. Team principal wearing the fire suit here for this test. Here's Matt.
He's in this 55 machine between runs. Michael, first, what's the status on Brian Vickers? How's his recovery?
It's coming perfectly. He's right on schedule to complete his dosage of blood thinners at the end of the month, and we'll be back in the car the 1st of February for some testing. So today's a great day for MWR. I get to drive one of the cars. Boyer's over there shaking his down. And then 10 miles down the road in New Smyrna, Jeff Burton has our number 66 Toyota over there doing some testing, trying to understand some of the short track stuff that we'll be faced with the new rules. So we're really upbeat about 2014. I've never been more excited about a year. I think we're primed to do better than we've ever done before with our philosophy, 2 full-time cars and a 3rd car running occasionally and supporting the other 2. So a lot of smiles around here, especially for me because I get to be in a car and I love that.
Looking around, 14 different laptops on 3 different tables here with the 55 and 15 cars. You've got another one on the roof. Looking at this practice today, because yesterday was a washout, have you split up the agendas, or are you still sticking what the agenda was with this 55 machine and Boyer with his team?
A lot of my driving and my runs are all about the engine. The Toyota folks are up under the hood after every run, tearing the valve train apart, seeing what's going on with the rocker arms and how everything's performing under the hood. You know, you got some interesting conditions in a cup race. Sometimes it rains and your car sits for a couple hours, then you got to crank it up and go again. They're making sure they understand that. My job is simple. Hold this wheel as straight as I can, run 3 laps, and then they download all this information. Look in here, Mark. There's just stuff everywhere, Matt.
When you look inside, I'll have our cameraman Dave Stolen as Boyer's backing out. Pull inside here. You can talk about all the different gauges that you have in here for the data guys.
It's just amazing. I've got stuff I don't know how to operate. I told them I was their man if I didn't have to do anything, and they said, we love you. That's why we got you. So I simply just flip on the switch, and they download all the information. And you can see there's laptops abound, like you said. This time I think we're going to do a little bit of something with the Packers in the front end. So this won't be an engine run. This will be for some chassis stuff. But we ran our fastest lap last time by. The car feels solid. I'm having a good day.
And the good thing for Clint Boyer and as well as Michael Waltrip, I'm told that in the second session tonight, they will go out and quite possibly do some drafting. So excitement abounds for everyone.
A little Ganassi Racing side by side.
It's like nostalgia week down here, though. Did you see Michael's helmet?
I'd say Ganassi Racing and Stuart Haas racing side by side. And yeah, I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
And thinking about Andy Granatelli of STP, who we lost last week. At I believe age 90, and Richard Petty Blue, and the number 43 on Michael's helmet. There's the King and the King's signature up there on the back, and the Daytona 500 emblem. And Richard has signed the helmet for Michael. That is really cool.
I know I've told this story before. It still cracks me up. Michael lived with Kyle. You know, he lived with Kyle at the Petties. He lived with Richard and them. And one of the funniest stories Michael ever told me, he said they were sitting on the couch watching a race. A rerun of a race because they weren't live then. And Michael's telling Richard and Kyle all these things, and Richard looks over at Michael and says, "Boy, where'd you learn about racing anyway?" And he said, "Everything I know I learned about racing, I learned from my brother." He said, "You don't know much, do you?"
I had a momentary flashback to when Chip Ganassi had the 41 and 42, obviously, because that's Kyle Larson in the 42. The 41 number now belongs to Stuart Haas, and that's their new fourth team for Kurt Busch.
Pretty cool, you know. You got the 4, the 14, and the 41.
But you're right, the 41 has been absent for a few years, and I think Kurt being in that 41 car, it's going to take a little bit of getting used to.
Well, they're right together, 16th and 17th on the speed chart. 2.5 hours into today's preseason Thunder.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Yeah, everybody knows that.
Did you know there is an oldest trick in the book?
What?
Trick number 1. Look us over there. Ha ha! Madest thou look, so endeth the trick.
Hey.
Yes.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you, well, you know.
A woman and her truck. A woman, her truck, and a 1,200-pound passenger. And 2 bodies with 1 mind. And a ribbon that goes on her wall, not in her hair. The all-new Chevy Silverado, with the best available towing in its class. Strong for all the roads ahead.
All right, guys, let's huddle up here and talk probiotics. For digestive health? Yes, and did you know that True Biotics is a daily probiotic that helps in 2 ways? It supports digestive and immune health by working in your gut, where 70% of your immune system lives. Try True Biotics today.
Think you can't have it all for dinner? Better think that thought again. With Pizza Hut's Big Dinner Box, get 2 medium 1-topping pizzas, breadsticks, and pick from wings, rollers, pasta, or now a 3rd pizza for just $19.99. Or get any pizza for $10. Pizza Hut, make it great.
You've reached the age where you learned a thing or two. This is the age of knowing what you're made of. So why let erectile dysfunction get in your way? Talk to your doctor about Viagra. 20 million men already have. Ask your doctor if your heart is healthy enough for sex. Do not take Viagra if you take nitrates for chest pain. It may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Side effects include headache, flushing, upset stomach, and abnormal vision. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. Stop taking Viagra and call your doctor right away if you experience a sudden decrease or loss in vision or hearing. This is the age of taking action. Viagra. Talk to your doctor.
Start the new year right at Subway, where January is now Janu-Any, and any regular footlong is now a $5 footlong. Even low-fat favorites like the sweet onion chicken teriyaki. $5 footlong, January. Subway, eat fresh.
Tonight, the Fox Sports Live crew brings you all the highlights from a full day of college basketball, NBA, and NHL action, as well as a look ahead at the NFL playoff matchups for the weekend. It's Fox Sports Live tonight, 11 Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1. A lot of steel in the air at Daytona International Speedway. That's all part of Daytona Rising, a huge initiative to reshape the fan experience here at the track, and it will include a retail mall and much, much more stretching across Speedway Boulevard, US 92. A very ambitious 2-year project underway, and fans will come here for Speed Weeks and see the first of the steel going high in the sky to be a part of that. Now we're told that part of the construction effort will include the removal of the backstretch grandstands next year. Those grandstands are slated to go to Phoenix and be the new front stretch grandstand out there in the Valley of the Sun.
Hope that gum thing's got an elevator.
We'll see.
But Darrell and I had a lot of fun down here last July. We were part of the groundbreaking ceremony. You, myself, Jeff Burton, Ryan
fun.
Newman, Greg Biffle, Trevor Bain. A lot of fun there.
It was.
One day earlier in the week.
Watching Ryan Truex in the BK Racing number 93. Truex and Alex Bowman doing the test for this team here in Daytona. Let's get back to the garage.
Hey guys, I'm down here with Marcus Ambrose, and Marcus, not really a great 2013 season for your team at Richard Petty Motorsports. So how's it looking so far, and what kind of changes have you made within the organization to try to get yourself back in victory lane?
Well, I woke up on the 1st of January and I realized the problem. 2013 had a 13 in it, and we were just really out of luck last year. Terrible year for us, so we're looking to really bounce back in 2014. I'm really excited at Richard Petty Motorsports. We've got some new personnel in and some fresh enthusiasm. We've got Stanley and DeWalt and everybody back here on the number 9 team. Looking forward to it.
How about the off season for you? You got a chance to do anything kind of cool? I think you were telling me a minute ago you may be leaving the country.
Yeah, I'm going to duck out tomorrow and head back to Australia. I haven't been down home yet. I normally try to go at least once a year, and my kids are old enough now that school's becoming important, and they went home during the summer break and they didn't want to go and make that 30-hour trip again. So I'm going to duck home tomorrow after this test and come back in about 2 weeks ready to go.
Well, guys, it sounds like he's got a pretty busy schedule away from the racetrack before he even gets back here to Daytona for Speed Weeks.
Thanks, Jeff. His teammate, Eric Almirola. They have a big announcement coming up in New York City on Wednesday with the folks from Smithfield about the future of the number 43.
Eric has a new crew chief for 2014, Trent Owens, who has been a long-time crew chief in the Nationwide Series over at Turner Scott Motorsports. He made the move to Richard Petty Motorsports during the offseason. He'll be helping Eric with this 43 car. Back to Marcus Ambrose, he did not even have a top 5 finish in 2013. He did sit on the pole at Watkins Glen, so he will be in the Sprint Unlimited race, but never even cracked the top 5.
Richard Petty Motorsports, again, a 2-car team in the Sprint Cup Series for 2014, running Fords.
Nice that Todd Parrott went through the Road to Recovery program and is reinstated back in NASCAR. He probably down here. I think he
was in the garage here this morning.
He was in the garage and looking for a kind of hit the reset button and start over again.
Yep, most recently crew chief at Richard Petty Motorsports. You mentioned Trent Owens, Richard Petty's nephew.
Yeah, there was a family connection there. He's got to be kind of fun to go back and work for the King, for Trent.
Like you mentioned, we're a little over 2.5 hours into this practice session, and I'm looking at most laps run. Jimmy Johnson, Chad Canalstep 48 team, they've run a total of 43 laps so far, so logging a lot of laps with that 48 car.
And why not? I mean, that's why we come here. You want to run all the laps you can, get all the information you can, try all the things you can, and in a very compressed schedule since yesterday got washed out.
Kevin Harvick sporting his new colors for 2014 over at Stewart Haas Racing.
Well, they were bad fast in that Charlotte test over there. That was the fastest car in that test, and I just was watching an interview with Kevin, and he was talking about, his only place he'd ever driven was Childress, and he said, I thought it was time just to do something different, kind of re-energize. I feel like I'm re-energized.
I read last night after the Fan Fest that Harvick gathered up a bunch of fans, took them out for a beer. How cool is that? Come to Preseason Thunder, get to go out and have a little celebration with one of your favorite drivers.
He keeps doing a lot of neat things with the fans. I think on his trip out to the banquet at Las Vegas, he started doing a tweet up and actually gave a fan and a guest a trip out there to Las Vegas. So he does a lot of interacting with the fans. Actually bringing her to Daytona for the Daytona 500 race week. But you think back to Kevin Harvick 1 year ago at Speed Weeks. He looked like he was in the position to become the first driver to win everything. He won the Sprint Unlimited. He won the Budweiser Duel. Had a great car for the 500. Got caught up in a crash about a fourth of the way through, but looked like that he could become the first driver to win all 3 races down here.
And I think if he can drive long enough, that his son will be the next driver to follow in his footsteps. Every time I see that kid, he's in something, driving
got a lot
something.
of seat time.
He's already got seat time, yeah.
That could well be. Jeff?
Yeah, guys, you know, we had an opportunity to talk to Marcus Ambrose a minute ago, and the reason for that, they were changing the rear gear on this number 9 Ford. And Daryl and Larry, I mean, to me, to see the gear ratio that they're running in these restrictor plate engines and, you know, that they're running currently is kind of amazing. Can you imagine we're running a 370 gear as one of the selection gears you can run here at this racetrack? I mean, I remember back in the day, you know, 300s, 310s, 315s. The most gear you'd ever see a lot of times during the course of a 500 miler might be a 325 or a 333. So, I mean, it's just a different philosophy and the different style of racing today sometimes surprises me with the amount of RPM they're putting in these cars, but they're still not turning a whole lot of RPM.
But, Jeff, isn't that because back in the day, those restrictor plate motors would run out of breath at 6,000, 6,500 RPM? They'd have nothing left.
You're exactly right, and that's what I'm saying is, Mike, the different type of racing that has evolved from those days to the current configurations is somewhat, it's mind-blowing. The way the engines have evolved, the way the engine builders have been able to construct them, and NASCAR has worked with them that, you know, we're still not turning a ton of RPM. I'm talking about normally a 370 gear would turn at a place like this would be 10 grand or more, and we're not doing that.
Yeah, they're turning about 8,200 to 8,400 in single car runs, and you can either run a 364 or a 370, 370 being the lower gear. The thought was that you might have to go to the 370 with this little bigger rear spoiler just to get the RPM back up there to get it in its max power range.
See, if I could change one rule, just okay, everybody's got something, you know. If I could change one rule, that would be it.
Get rid of it.
Get the gear rule. I just think that's when we talk about cars running the same speed, cars can't pass, cars can't do this, cars can't do that. I blame it on the gear. And that's because in my time, one of the things that we were able to do, we were able to run a lower gear than everybody else because I could take care of the engine. I managed that gear, and that won me a lot of races. And it separates you, too.
All right, so Daryl's saying that rule takes away one of the driver's tools. Well, we'll see going forward. Bob?
Down here with Casey Kane, 11th quick so far, and I know it's been a fast-paced day because you've been doing a lot of runs out there, but no, you're not thrilled because it's single-car run so far, but have you learned anything?
Just kind of the same Daytona testing and practice, same as practice. The guys are running through a lot of small adjustments, things to try to get a little bit quicker each run, and then you have to compare to the wind and how close you were to the car in front of you, stuff like that. So it's tough. We're trying to get a lot done in a short period of time, but I think it's perfect. I'm glad we just run one day and run all out for a little while and head home.
Are they going to let you go out there and draft a little bit later on?
Well, I know it's open to that. I was in the wreck here last year when we were drafting on, speed week or practice, and so I don't think we'll be doing any of that this year. We missed the shootout this year. I didn't get any poles, so that's tough enough, But so we won't have that track time. But I think we'll have enough practice. We always get so much during speed weeks, and then the 150s and into the 500.
It's all about speed, especially for Daytona 500 qualifying. But when you come back here, how much is it for you? For the Daytona 500, is it a mental game?
Well, it's just tough because there's so much thrown at you in that race, that whole week leading into it. And I mean, as far as NASCAR goes, the 500 is the race we all want to win. It's the biggest race of them all, and it's one of the toughest to win too because you need a fast car, you need great luck, you need to be in the right place at the right time with the right partners and choose the right lane. I mean, and everything changes so quickly. Restarts, you could get caught in the wrong spot. So it's a tough one to win. Hopefully we'll have a good shot this year with our Farmers Insurance Chevrolet. I know the guys have worked really hard, and we have a good car here. This is one of the cars from last year, and I think we're going to do some work and maybe bring back a different one, maybe bring back the same one, but we'll definitely have a fast car.
Speaking of a tough one to win, your Seahawks go up against the Saints on Saturday. What you thinking there? Where are you going to be watching it from?
I don't know exactly where I'll be watching it from, but I'll be watching it, and it's going to be a good game. I think the Saints will definitely play better than what they did a month and a half ago when they were there and got crushed by the Seahawks. So I think they'll be tougher, but I feel like the Seahawks at home are going to be really tough to beat throughout the playoffs. I think they're healthy and they're ready to go. So it should be good. I'm hoping they go to New York at the end of it all.
Of course, he's watching the Seahawks. We're watching the Panthers and my Patriots as well. But a big football weekend as well as Daytona testing down here, Mike.
Panthers too.
There you go. He's for the Panthers as well.
Well, he's from Washington State, but he lives in Charlotte, after all. Casey Kane last year on the restrictor plate tracks, getting turned around there. Contact perhaps with Kyle Busch. And then under the lights. Been kind of tough for Casey Kane. Well, Saints, Seahawks, Seattle. It's the NFC divisional round on Fox. 49ers, Panthers. As the NFC playoffs continue this weekend on Fox.
Barrett Jackson is back with the most valuable collection of American classics ever assembled. And for the first time on Fox, one of the rarest icons in American automotive history shines in the spotlight.
Wild machine.
Barrett Jackson, live from Scottsdale. The auction begins Tuesday on Fox Sports 2.
This is it. This is where the months of preparation and planning lead to. This is where a missed detail is a missed opportunity. From here, there's no looking back, only forward. In this moment, one tick of a watch separates victory from defeat. It's time to go sports car racing.
Tired of searching for auto insurance you can afford? Now there's a faster, easier, better way to get car insurance, and it's called We Speak Insurance. Call the number below and we'll get you on the road today, whether you need insurance or just a better rate. We Speak Insurance can help you get the lowest quote available to you. We're talking about real quotes from leading insurance providers. All it takes is one phone call. It's free, and you're under no obligation to buy anything. Pick up the phone and call today.
In the game of Cutthroat Kitchen, how will you play?
It's up to your imagination.
Will you be ready when everything changes?
I have no water. Here's an iron. Do what you can now. Diabolical!
Will creativity save you when all seems lost?
How do you make a patty melt without any bread?
Will you play it safe or risk it all?
Miss this week's episode with Gianna De Laurentiis? Catch it now on demand. And watch Cutthroat Kitchen Sundays at 10, only on Food Network.
Sabotage is back in season.
Back when we had satellite, we had to pay for more movies. 5 movies is like $25 a month. That's $300 a year. Poof, gone. But with Xfinity On Demand, we can watch thousands of movies and shows for no extra cost. We probably watched about 50 just this month.
More doesn't have to cost more. Upgrade to Digital Preferred for $9.99 more a month for 12 months and get over 80 additional channels and even more of your favorite movies and TV shows with Xfinity On Demand. Call 1-800-XFINITY today.
The 2014 season kicks off with Preseason Thunder from Daytona International Speedway. We have already had a couple hours on track. We'll have a couple more right here on Fox Sports 1. It's been 54 days since the conclusion of the 2013 season, and it was incredible the way it ended, starting with Richmond.
Saturday night, Richmond International Raceway.
With 10 laps to go, it's Newman to the point.
39 is going to win the race. Well, that kind of sucks.
Is your arm starting to hurt? I bet it's hot in there. Itches. Oh, yeah.
Clint Boyer has spun.
Look a little intentional to be there, but I don't know.
Now, MWR was busted for actions detrimental to stock car racing.
Every now and then it gets out of bounds, and we have to bring it back.
Bottom line, Martin Truex Jr. has lost his spot in the chase, and he's been replaced by Ryan Newman.
We're not immoral. We're not irresponsible. The decisions were made just based on circumstances.
Additional audio surfaced today.
The meeting knows what I've been asking for. Got the big dogs, Wiggins, and all of his cronies. It better paint pink.
We're going to add a 13th position to the field, and Jeff Gordon will qualify for the championship this year.
They kicked me out to make a spot for somebody. It's just unfair, and, nothing I can do about it.
The moment we've been waiting for all year. The race for the chase, for the championship, the first of the 10 events.
We got 10 weeks ahead of us. Let's do it.
Jimmy Johnson on pit road, the race leader.
Slow on the right rear, and the official says no. Not all lug nuts are on.
Tighten the f***ing lug nut.
Chad Knaus is absolutely furious with the Sprint Cup Series official.
We're going to be fine. NASCAR kind of f***ed us on that deal there. Blow it up. That's what he found.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. goes for a spin. May have blown the engine. It took us all day. It took us all night. But it's all over here at the Chicagoland Speedway as Matt Kenseth has won.
Yes! Thank you, guys. Wow!
Green flag is out. The Sylvania 300 is underway.
So the first chance we get, guy bought me 18, right? I had no idea we were coming here today to throw our chase away.
And the race is for the lead down the back straightaway.
Here they come. Kenseth wants his spot. He's got it.
Kane gets into the inside wall right at the start-finish line.
Left front's killed.
He opens the chase in 2013, going 2 for 2. Matt Kenseth has won.
Yeah, thanks, guys. This is more than a dream come true. Thanks, guys.
400 laps, 400 miles. This track will beat you up.
It's one of our best racetracks, one of our favorite racetracks. 400 laps around this great place.
Here we go. It is showtime at Dover International Speedway. We are down to 26 laps remaining.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. Guns ablaze, and it's down to 2 car lengths. It's down to 1 car length. Not going to be able to do it off the end of the back straightaway. Johnson worked his way off turn number 4, and for the 8th time in his career, he wins at the Monster Mile.
Yes, yes, yes.
Green, and it is in the air, and here we go racing. Push! Head on into the outside retaining wall.
The AP just smashed us there. Yeah, right. Just fine and dandy.
Kevin Harvick, push your chips in, take him to victory lane. He crosses the start-finish line.
Oh, yeah, boys. How about that? Great job. Great job.
It is an absolutely splendid night to go racing.
The Jack's under the car, Brad. Coming back, bud.
In a season filled with disappointment, Brad Keselowski finally enjoys one shining moment.
Did it, boys. Damn right we did it.
You can predict the unpredictable when you come to this particular racetrack.
And Austin Dillon is up in the air and he slams back to the ground. Everybody moves to the bottom.
All over here at Talladega.
Jamie McMurray is the man who'll pick up the victory.
Good job. Awesome job. Well, boys, buckle down. Time to do some work.
Hang on, everybody. This is short track excitement, NASCAR style.
The way that our chase has gone, there's one team in this garage that could get stuck in a track that's only got about 6 feet of grass, and it would be
Jeff will drop down to the inside of the track. This time, maybe the best run yet. Matter of fact, he gets by. Gordon goes to the lead off turn 2. Jeff Gordon scoring his first win since Homestead at the end of last season.
That's right, champ. Yeah. Yeah, you did it, man. What an awesome job, guys. Never give up.
Matt Kenseth on one end of the street, Jimmy Johnson on the other, and Jeff Gordon, he's trying to track them down.
Jeff Gordon, he blew what sounded like a right front tire.
It's a wall very hard, the right side. We're going to be down for a while.
I think we have just seen the end of his championship hopes for 2013.
Johnson has led the most laps. He will get the victory and go to Phoenix with a 7-point lead over Matt Kenseth.
Yes, yes, yes. Nice job, guys.
Phoenix International Raceway marks the white flag in the 2013 NASCAR season.
Green is out, and the field heads to turn 1.
And it looks like the longer we get into the green flag run, Kevin Harvick's car just gets better.
Back him up, back him up, back him up. Gosh dang it. I think that was about 12 spots. Gotta be in good shape. 20 to 29th. 4 behind us.
Carl Edwards is out of fuel, and Kevin Harvick is going to victory lane.
Hey, miracles happen every day, bro. Hell yeah! Woo! Still in this thing.
9 months ago, we started off at Daytona International Speedway, just up the road a little ways, and now that journey comes to an end. Hopes being realized for some, dreams being dashed for others.
Green flag waving again at the start-finish line. Jeff Gordon spins the tires, and that's going to cost him big time.
And the big losers on that are going to be Matt Kenseth and Jimmy Johnson.
Get my left front fender, please. You're good, man. You're good.
Denny Hamlin has won here in Homestead, Miami, Florida, and Jimmy Johnson has just claimed his 6th NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship.
What a race team. You guys are amazing. You better get a sip of that damn bottle you got in there, because that's the last healthy liquid you're going to have for the rest of the night.
Champagne, of course, was served after the Homestead race for Jimmy Johnson and that 48 team. He started the season off with the catchphrase six-pack, looking for his 6th championship. He was able to capture it in 2013. And although a lot of things have changed since last year, some things haven't changed. Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus using the same strategy coming into this Daytona testing. They've already made it very clear they're not going to go out in any packed situation. They'll go out only in a single car run, trying to find the speed. The other thing that hasn't changed, Jimmy Johnson is 1 spot in front of Matt Kenseth already in speeds here at Daytona in this testing session.
Yeah, it's really cool to look back through the entire chase. It was so interesting how it ended at Richmond, all the controversy, and then what the 48 and the 20 did. But the things that stand out to me, number one, after Richmond, you had to feel for Martin Truex Jr. Yeah. All he did was drive the wheels off his race car, didn't get a chance to race for a championship. Then you had all the accomplishments of the 20 and Matt Kenseth going to a new situation, new crew chief, winning 7 races and pushing the 48 to the brink. But then at the end of that, one thing still remains. It seems like when the pressure is on the most, the 48 responds. We saw at Phoenix last year, the 20 was in position. They had a bad race. They had some miscommunication on pit road, pit, not to pit, a long pit stop. The pressure eventually got to the 20 as well. So that's what we look for this year. Who can push the 48 to the brink, but also who can put enough pressure on them for them to crack and not crack themselves.
Yeah, and the other question I think has to be, you've got Matt Kenseth, who we believe challenged Jimmy Johnson as much as anyone has ever challenged him for a championship, won more races last year than Jimmy did. Who is the next person that can step up there and challenge that 48 team? Because not a lot of things have changed in the 48 group that would make them any less vulnerable for a 7th championship.
Well, the good news is now we've got a template with what Matt did last year. Look at all the new combinations. Kevin Harvick at Stewart-Haas, Kurt Busch at Stewart-Haas, right. Truex over to Furniture Road. A lot of these things, you wonder, can these guys do it? But Matt Kenseth proved that sometimes change is good. Sometimes you're better than you really think you are, and a fresh start with some fresh ideas can really set somebody into overdrive. So a lot of potentials could push the 48.
As you mentioned change, we watched the 4 of Kevin Harvick making his way off the track after another run here at Daytona International Speedway. Your top 10 speeds, Austin Dillon still quickest, Jimmy Johnson 4th, Matt Kenseth 5th.
Big East Conference play continues on Fox Sports 1. Tomorrow, Javon Pinkston leads number 8 Villanova against St. John's. Then it's Georgetown taking on Butler. It all tips off tomorrow at 1 on Fox Sports 1. Presented by New York Life Insurance Company.
To truck guys, the truck is everything. And when you put them in charge of making an unbeatable truck, good things happen. This is the Ram 1500, the 2014 Motor Trend Truck of the Year, and first ever back-to-back champion. Guts, glory, Ram.
Golden Corral is the best deal in America.
That is music to my ears.
Golden Corral is a gift to my wallet. Only Golden Corral can give you the whole delicious restaurant for one incredibly low price.
I like the sound of that.
It's scrumptious appetizers, endless entrees like our premium 5-ounce sirloin filet, and desserts including our new non-stop irresistible triple fountain yum.
Can't beat the price.
Or the food.
Or the triple fountain yum.
It's all on our endless buffet for one low price, and it's only at Golden Corral.
Best deal in America.
Period.
Looking for a hot new track? Because McDonald's has got what you need. The Dollar Menu and more, featuring all your original faves plus delicious new hits. Like for just $2, you can check out the savory bacon cheddar McChicken sandwich with thick cut apple with smoked bacon. Or you can move to the tangy barbecue ranch burger, plus other great tastes for only $1. So whatever flavor you're craving, McDonald's knows what you like. The Dollar Menu and more. There's something for everyone to love at McDonald's.
Hello. This is where we do that bundling thing. Let's see what you got. RV, covered. Why would you pay for a hotel?
I never do.
Motorcycles, check. ATV.
I ride those.
Do you?
No.
Boat. Ahoy, mateys.
House?
Hello, dear. Hello.
Hello.
Van with airbrushed fire-breathing dragons. Ah, check.
The more you bundle, the more you save. Now that's Progressive.
The best riders in the world risk it all to win it all. Monster Energy Supercross, live from Phoenix, tomorrow at 9:30 on Fox Sports 1.
Glad to have you with us for NASCAR Preseason Thunder. 3 hours into this practice session. Yesterday canceled due to rain, and they'll go on into the night to 9 p.m. tonight. Our telecast runs to 5 p.m. Eastern, then we'll be back on the air with an hour of bonus coverage here on Fox Sports 1 from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern, with nationwide testing tomorrow beginning at 3 p.m. Eastern.
You know, these guys, they're not playing computer games. Well, they sort of are. They're downloading a lot of data, a lot of information. As a matter of fact, you can take this information. There may be some guys back in Charlotte, back at the shop in Charlotte, that's downloading this very same information. They may be back in the shop on the simulator with the car on a 7-post or whatever, running some setups from the information they're gathering here at the track. That information can even be sent to the manufacturer in Detroit, and they may have some engineers that are looking at what's going on down here. So it's not just what we've talked about. It's not just the driver and the crew chief comparing notes and what the driver likes and doesn't like. These guys right here, they get deep into what's going on.
And you see right there in the white shirt, that's Alan Gustafson. That's Jeff Gordon's crew chief, who is an engineer. I think this is another reason why we're seeing the migration of teams taking their team engineer and promoting them to the crew chief. We had a lot of those that happened this year going into 2014. You've got Daniel Nose, who was the 39 engineer. He is now Kurt Busch's crew chief. When you look at Billy Scott, who was the crew chief or the engineer of the 55 team at MWR, he's now the crew chief. And then Keith Rodden, who has been Casey Kane's engineer for a number of years, he's now Jamie McMurray's. I think that's one of the reasons we're seeing that trend.
Yeah, Larry, it doesn't do any good to have a guy that's the crew chief if he doesn't understand all this stuff. You got to understand. You got to know when these guys download this information, and when they hand you a graph or they hand you whatever they're put together over there, you got to know what they're. You can't look at it and say, "What's this mean?"
Yeah.
You know, you got to be on the same page they are. So I think that's part of the communication thing. And you know what? Used to the driver, if the driver wasn't happy, the car wasn't any good. Now they just tell the driver, say, "Look, the car's good. You need to learn how to drive it."
But this sport, American by birth, has become so international. Not just the presence of Toyota on the racetrack, but Toyota has engineers here from Japan. A lot of valve spring technology and metallurgy coming from Germany. German engineers on site here. It's really interesting to see the cross-pollination of all these different motorsports disciplines coming to NASCAR.
Yeah, well, see, back in the day, we didn't know how to make anything. If something broke, we made it bigger. We didn't make it stronger. If a rod broke, we just got a bigger rod. Okay, that won't break.
Yeah.
But in the process, you're putting all that weight in the engine and you're slowing the thing down. Now the materials, the biggest change in these engines, certainly the design hadn't changed all that much, but what the parts and pieces that go into these engines are almost indestructible because of the quality of the materials.
Right. First it became advances in metallurgy, then advances in coatings on these specialized pieces to make them more durable or less friction or a combination of both. Quantum leaps in this sport. Maybe not visible to the fan in the grandstand, but very important to these engineers in the garage.
Yeah, the most fragile part to our engines because of the RPM we turn are the valve springs. The valve springs, the rocker arms, and maybe the valves, but the valve train, that's the most vulnerable part to our engines, whether we're turning them 8,200 here or 10,000 somewhere else. That's why you spend a lot of time. You can put a camshaft in this engine that might make an extra 10 horsepower, but it'll tear the valve train up and the engine won't last. And so that's what you're going through right now. You can have an engine that has a lot of top end power with some camshaft, or you can put a camshaft in here with a lot of torque, a lot of low end power, and that's why you'd want to make a couple of engine changes, one with top end, one with bottom end, and see which one gets around the track the quickest.
Saw the graphic of Hendrick Motorsports, their 4 drivers, where they rank in practice. That's one of only about 3 of our major organizations that didn't have a driver or a crew chief change. The other 2 being Penske Racing with their 2 teams and Joe Gibbs Racing with their 3.
We've talked a little about changing of the guard, and certainly that's happened this year. Jeff Burton out of a full-time ride into a part-time ride. Mark Martin out of the seat. He's testing here, but he's going to be a driver coach through the season. And yet another driver has change on his horizon. Jeff?
That's right, Mike. I caught up here with Bobby Labonte, former Sprint Cup champion, and you're in the 52 car this year for James Finch, and I see Jamie Elledge is working on the car. I understand we got a lot of stuff to do with Hendrick, like Hendrick chassis, Hendrick engine. So how things are going so far, Bobby?
Well, okay. I mean, obviously we all wish we could have practiced yesterday, but at least get on the racetrack today for these guys to get back to the shop and figure out what to do when they come back in February is going to be important. So, but yeah, so far so good. Justin over here running and me running this car here. Hopefully we can learn from each other and make it better for when they get back in February.
You plan on running any more races with this car in the 2014 season besides Daytona?
Well, I hope so. I mean, James called me a few weeks ago and said, hey, let's go run the 500. So James is going to be is a great car runner, and he kind of sold out to Harry Scott, and obviously Harry's got great nationwide and truck teams with Steve Turner. So it's a good combination, and James and Harry knowing each other. So hopefully it'll work out. It'd be great to be Justin's teammate for a few races, but, we'll see. And, we'll get to the 500 and see how it goes. And, how James works, we'll go from there. But looking forward to it. We're looking for a little sponsorship money. James has been very good at the sport and has done a lot for it. But anyway, we're excited about coming back down here and having a good run. We got great Hendrick power, and we'll have a good race car when we come back.
Thanks, Bobby. It looks like, we got a veteran maybe paired up with a rookie. Could be a good combination, guys.
Well, it certainly could. And James Finch, nobody loves this sport more than James Finch. He sold his race team, and then he said, Daytona's coming. I couldn't stay away. So he put together this 52 car for Bobby Labonte to run. Now, Front Row Motorsports is not here for the Daytona test, nor is the 4017 with A.J. Allmendinger replacing Bobby Labonte at JTG Doherty Racing. Brian Vickers on the mend. He'll be back for Daytona when Speed Week starts. Furniture Row Racing has skipped the Daytona test, and the 98, where Michael McDowell has moved on. Josh Wise is his replacement at Phil Parsons Racing. They're going to run a Ford here for Daytona, then switch to Chevrolets, and so they're in transition. They have chosen not to come here to Preseason Thunder, which leaves us with 40 cars on the racetrack. Let's get back down to the garage with Bob.
Matt Kenseth is a 2-time Daytona 500 champion, 4th quick so far in this practice session. It looks like the boys have been hard at work. Not you so much, but how much goes into each run for the people at home that don't realize that?
For me, not much. I just sit there and wait for the track to clear out and do a couple laps. They've been changing quite a bit of stuff. We have pretty good speed in our Dollar General Camry, which is always encouraging. So for me, it's been pretty uneventful.
Uneventful, I know, because you just do the 2 laps at a time, but is there a plan to go drafting, to try to learn some stuff aero-wise in the draft for when we come back here for the Daytona 500?
I got to be honest, I haven't even asked Jason if we're going to draft or not. Originally, we were planning on it, but with the delay in the schedule, I'm not really sure. So when you're in the draft, it's really hard to learn anything as far as lap times, just because the draft changes so much and you're in different spots. So the best way to see if you're making gains or not, just do single car runs and see if you pick up or not.
35% of the laps led over the restrictor plate tracks last year. You guys were good. So is that something else that tells you, hey, we don't need to go down that route whatsoever?
No, I mean, I think you always have to work on it. We have we led some laps, but we didn't win any of the races, and really that, probably some decisions by me and positions, all this stuff at Talladega really cost us at the end of the year too. So I think you're always working on it. You're always trying to be better. The draft is a funny thing. You might look like you have the strongest car, and there's some people kind of waiting, and I'll blow by you then, and you get in the wrong lane and don't get with the right cars and end up hurting yourself. So I think we're always working on trying to get better. I think we had really fast cars last year at the plate tracks. I probably just didn't make the best decisions or get our car in the right positions to try to take advantage of that.
I don't mean to bring up something bad here, but the Packers out of the playoffs. So who are you rooting for the rest of the playoffs now that your beloved Packers are out?
Well, I don't know. I'm interested to watch. I'd like to see the Broncos go and win a Super Bowl, not because I'm a Broncos fan, but I'm a big fan of Peyton Manning, and to come back from that kind of injury and just his work ethic and how hard he prepares each and every week is he's second to none. And he's a fellow Gatorade guy, so I'd like to see them go all the way.
Look at that, like Michael Waltrip getting the sponsor plug in there. 7-time winner last year, Matt Kenseth.
Maybe he needs to check with Michael Waltrip. They were about to make a change with his Packers a while ago. I think one of the big things that we'll be watching here in 2014 is what happens to the driver that finishes second in the points the following year. We all know Matt Kenseth won 7 races and finished second in points, but look at the 6 years prior to that. The drivers over here that finished second in the points, where they finished in the points the next season. But the biggest thing, look at the win column. Only 1 win, and that was, of course, by Denny Hamlin the following year after finishing second.
And Larry, it goes all the way through the team. You think about the crew chief. What happened to Mike Ford?
Yeah.
What happened to Bob Osborne? I mean, it's something that you have a really hard time getting over. And there is a hangover. I've had them.
Finishes second is hard, indeed. Preseason Thunder continues here on Fox Sports 1.
Alka-Seltzer Plus presents The Cold Truth.
I have a big meeting when we land, but I'm so stuffed up I can't rest.
Truth is, NyQuil Cold and Flu liquid gels don't unstuff your nose.
They don't?
Nope. They don't have a decongestant.
Really?
Really. Alka-Seltzer Plus Night fights your worst cold symptoms, plus has a fast-acting decongestant to relieve your stuffy nose. Alka-Seltzer Plus.
Oh, what a relief it is.
Can't find Theraflu? Try Alka-Seltzer Plus for fast liquid cold and flu relief.
70% off for 2 days only at Joseph A. Bank. Leather jackets, 70% off. Incredible sweaters, 70% off. Plus, take an extra 50% off a second special clearance item, making $650 suits $89. And dress shirts and silk ties, $14.99. Friday and Saturday at Joseph A. Bank.
Yeah, I'm married. Doesn't matter. You do that for me? Really? Yeah, I'd like that.
Who are you talking to?
It's Jake from State Farm. Sounds like a really good deal.
Jake from State Farm at 3 in the morning? Who is this?
It's Jake from State Farm.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Khakis.
She sounds hideous.
Well, she's a guy, so.
Another reason more people stay with State Farm. Get to a better state.
In 1994, Pizza Hut became the first ever online order. Now the biggest pizza destination in the world is at your fingertips. And to celebrate, we're offering 50% off pizzas ordered online when you sign up for Hut Lovers. But only through January 10th. That's 50%. Pizza Hut. Make it great.
Life is full of whys. Why did she dump me? Why should we move? Why isn't anyone laughing at my jokes? It helps to have a friend who can explain things to you. Because your haircut is horrible? Because the neighbors are freaks? Because you always honk that horn after the punchline. Taxes are full of whys too. And TurboTax is that friend who explains things. Why did my refund just go up? Because you deducted those clown shoes you bought for work. Intuit TurboTax. It's amazing what you're capable of.
Start the year right at Subway with meals that earn the American Heart Association's Heart Check mark. Subway, eat fresh.
Welcome back to Preseason Thunder, the annual 2-day test for NASCAR's Sprint Cup Series. A month before the Daytona 500, Fan Fest here last night. Big autograph session and driver interviews. And the Sprint folks unveiled the new format for the Sprint Unlimited, the first stock car race of Speed Weeks, where the fans can vote early and vote often on 3 important aspects of the competition. Clint Boyer on track, 22nd fastest for Michael Waltrip Racing. He is the 4th fastest Toyota in this test that has been pretty well dominated by Chevrolets so far today.
But you know the interesting thing, the practice speed down here, that Dylan, the lap that Dylan put up there, the 46.64, that's within a few hundreds of the same practice speed we ran down here last year.
Here's the Plinker Tactical, Plinker Arms Ford. This is Dave Blaney, returning to the number 77, though not the old Doug Bauble or Jasper Engines team that we knew, but this is a fairly new effort that Blaney's associated with.
Yeah, Mike, it just came together just a few weeks ago, and if you look at the paint scheme very closely, it reminds you a lot of Casey Mears from last year. This because, remember, Casey Mears and Booty Barker, they made the swap over to Chevrolet, so this team bought a lot of those race cars. In fact, it came together so late, I was talking to them this morning in the garage area, and they do plan on running the entire schedule. Remember, Jeff Hammond was talking about the new grill opening on the Ford. They didn't have time to change it out on this race car. The biggest thing that I learned this morning about that grill opening, right there below the front bumper, you can see they have it blocked off and the actual opening is in the front bumper, is it's a little less drag. It's going to be a little faster on the straightaway, but the one thing that also concerns me, I heard it's a little less front downforce, which couldn't be what they're necessarily looking for at the other racetracks.
Yeah, but there's always a but. Remember the pan?
Yes, the new rules.
The rule underneath, the pan underneath the front of the nose, which will increase downforce, so probably about a trade-off.
So this 77, this Randy Humphries team from last year, kind of rebuilt now with Dave Blaney as the driver?
Correct,
yeah.
Correct.
You know what, when I think about that 77 number, I believe that was probably the start of swapping points around and who owned what.
That's right.
And alliances and partnerships and all kinds of things.
A tangled web.
It was.
Let's join Bob.
Guys, another engine change down here and another one in the Richard Childress Racing camp. And this is a scheduled engine change. The engine undercover right there going to be going in the number 31 car for Ryan Newman. They are about to pull the engine out. And I talked to Danny Lawrence, who's in charge of the engine program for Earnhardt Childress Racing Engines. And they are trying a bunch of different combinations. And this is nothing new, honestly, for this camp. They do this a lot down here, try different situations, especially horsepower means so much here at this racetrack, and they're trying to get all the speed possible. So it's just different combinations on the engines. We saw them do that with Austin Dillon, the 3, now with the 31 of Ryan Newman. Jeff?
Well, Bob, here on the backside of the garage area where a lot of the cars are coming in, believe it or not, because of all the rain, you can see there's puddles down through the garage here on the lower end. And one of the things the teams have been trying to do is trying to watch the drivers not run through those puddles. One thing is they don't want to change the tire temperature as they get ready to bring them back, or the tire pressure. But more importantly, there's a lot of electronics underneath the car, lasers that are measuring ride heights and things. They don't want having this water splashed up on those electronics and possibly create a short and mess up their test. So watching these drivers kind of snake their way down through the garage area and avoiding these things, we see all of a sudden 77 coming back through here, avoiding those puddles as he enters the garage area. Something that was kind of a funny part, and a lot of the crew chief says, guys, what you do, don't drive through that mud puddle.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense, but I think the biggest thing that Jeff documented there is all the data acquisition equipment. If you get it wet, may quit functioning for the rest of the test.
We got a lot of teams have infrared sensors that actually monitor the tire temps, and of course they're mounted right there behind the tires or in front of the tires. So yeah, there's things under there, but you know what? If it was a real problem that bothered me very much, I'd send a couple of guys down there with brooms and get rid of them.
It's a great idea. Hammond, get a broom.
The solution to these complicated problems can be that simple.
This is it. This is where the months of preparation and planning lead to. This is where a missed detail is a missed opportunity. From here, there's no looking back, only forward. In this moment, one tick of a watch separates victory from defeat. It's time to go sports car racing.
UFC Fight Night. Two strikers collide as Luke Rockhold battles Costas Philippou. UFC Fight Night, Wednesday on Fox Sports 1.
Even when you're in aisle 4, you're never far from home. With Xfinity Home, you can set your alarm as you stock up the house. Check in on your best friend while you're at work. And even adjust your thermostat when you're out and about. Plus, you can add 24/7 professional monitoring. Xfinity Home gives you a total home security and control solution that simplifies your life. This is easy. This is simple. This is awesome. This is Xfinity Home.
No matter what, people can count on me to get the job done. So when my prostate cancer returned, my doctor told me that this time can be different with Provenge, a personalized treatment that lets me count on my own body to fight back.
Provenge is clinically proven to help extend life in certain men with advanced prostate cancer by taking your own blood cells and reprogramming them to jumpstart your immune system so it can attack your prostate cancer. Provenge can cause serious reactions, including those resulting from the infusion and stroke. Severe but infrequent infusion reactions include chills, fever, fatigue, weakness, breathing difficulties like shortness of breath, decreased oxygen and wheezing, dizziness, headache, high blood pressure, muscle ache, nausea, and vomiting. Tell your doctor about all of your medical problems, including heart problems, lung problems, or history of stroke. Call 1-800-563-6901 for more information. Talk to your doctor and find out if the time is right for Provenge. Provenge, helping you help yourself.
On Fox Sports 1. Crowd Goes Wild is up at 5. Then, get your daily football fix at 6. And at 8, UFC Reloaded. It's a full day of action, right here on Fox Sports 1.
High-flying Supercross action on Fox Sports 1. This week it's Phoenix, the best riders in the world. Monster Energy Supercross live from Phoenix tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1. High-flying, death-defying.
Let me tell you, that is some physical racing. You think about hustling a motorcycle around those arenas the way they do. Through the air, through those ruts. I tell you, you got to be in pretty good shape to hang on to one of those things the way they do.
That's work, you bet. Mark Martin driving for Tony Stewart. Stewart, one of a number of drivers who are not in action in this test, but who we will see as we get into speed weeks at Daytona. We talked to Stewart earlier. His recovery from that sprint car injury progressing very well. And though he says he won't be fully healed by February for Daytona, he'll certainly be in good enough shape to give this car a ride and try to win the Daytona 500.
Yeah, and you know, every driver can identify when he says getting in and out of the car, even when you're physically well and there's nothing wrong. It's very hard to do the way the seats are made, the headrest, and the opening. But when you have something like he has with a leg problem, that's going to be the hardest thing for him to do is just get in the car. Once you get in there, I mean, you are very comfortable. That seat is molded to you. It's made especially for you. But getting in and out of that car is a challenge.
Again, we don't anticipate Mark will be participating in the Daytona 500. In fact, I did a sit-down interview with him last November at Homestead, and he said that he pretty much has no plans to race in the top series again in NASCAR. Mark's only top 5 finish last year in the limited schedule that he ran was a 3rd place finish here in the Daytona 500.
You know, the other thing I worry about for Smoke is that's his right leg. And, I mean, I just know from nothing wrong, just holding the thing wide open all the time, how you can get cramps in your leg and in your foot. And I think that's going to be the challenge for him.
Marcus Ambrose back out for another run, and that engine sounding a lot better than the last lap he made on the racetrack when the engine went flat. Jeff, what'd they do?
Mike, the thing is right now with the 9 car, they thought they had a fuel problem, and they came in and raised the deck lid and worked in the trunk area. I think that maybe had just a little bit of a problem with that. Like I say, the cable itself, they worked on that, maybe changed the gear, and it said it had it fixed. They were back out there running at full speed. He said just all of a sudden kind of shut off and started missing, so they got that problem fixed on the 9 car. And real quick, Darrell, listen to you talking about Tony Stewart's situation and holding that throttle pedal wide open. They've actually created a mock cockpit, a seat with a steering wheel and a throttle pedal. Guys at the shop build it for him, and he can sit there watching television and work basically through therapy by holding that throttle pedal wide open, and it has basically a hydraulic shock on it, which holds pressure on it, so he has an opportunity to work that to address that exact problem that you just mentioned.
Yeah, I think that would. I just was thinking about if your right leg and how your foot. I mean, you used to burn your heel. A lot of things used to happen, but I'd get a cramp in your leg from just holding the thing wide open all the time.
Mark Martin in Tony Stewart's car. Stewart is here. Front Row Motorsports not testing. David Reagan and David Gilliland. J.J. Yaley not here. Tommy Baldwin bringing just one car to the Daytona test. JTG Doherty, A.J. Allmendinger, they're not here. Brian Vickers, the car is here. Michael Waltrip's in it. Brian will be back for the 500. Furniture Row with Martin Truex is not here, nor is Phil Parsons racing with Josh Wise. Jeff Burton's going to run a partial schedule, but he's at New Smyrna testing on the short track today. And Travis Kvapil for BK Racing is back home in North Carolina. They're not calling it an audition, but two young drivers in the 83 and 93, Alex Bowman and Ryan Truex, doing the test here in Daytona for that team.
Just saw Mark get out of the car. Mark's a pretty small guy, and it's easy for him to get in and out of the car for the most part. But you know what? You couldn't get in or out of that car if you didn't have that little rail up on top of the roof there. It's not very big, but that's what you hold on to get in and out of the car, believe it or not.
Let's check with Bob.
P21 so far for Clint Boyer. 21. You want to be near the top of that charge. What are you going to do to get faster here?
Start drafting a little bit.
You going to be allowed to do that?
Yes. I haven't sat down here for 2 days for nothing. I'm getting out there and doing some drafting.
7 o'clock tonight while we're on the air on Fox Sports 1 or what?
Is that when it is?
Well, that's when we're on the air. You know, 7 o'clock tonight.
So that's when we have to draft?
Yes, I'm asking. I'm telling you, you need to have it there.
No, yeah, I think so. I mean, it's hard to come down here and test. You know, for a driver, it's really hard to get enthusiastic about going out there because it's, you know, when you're out there by yourself, it's really, really pretty easy. But when you get out there and draft, you know, there's no feeling like it in the world. I mean, I've been racing since I was 4 years old, and I've never felt anything like it when you get out there 3 and 4 wide, you know, juking and jiving, looking around your mirrors like, oh, it's getting big. But, you know, it's fun to be back, you know, with a new year, same team. Everybody's here, everybody's healthy, everybody's having fun. Mother Nature finally decided to cooperate. You know, that's the good thing about Florida is that, you know, it's raining, it's been cool and cloudy, and then as soon as that cloud blows out of here, it's like muggy as can be and humid. But, you know, hopefully we'll get out there and do some drafting. It's been a lot of cool things happen today. I mean, seeing Rusty in a fire suit again. I mean, you know, growing up and watching him and appreciating that, it's neat to see him back in the car. He was pretty excited. And
just a little. Yeah,
I'd say. And, you know, there's a lot of things. I mean, Richard brought back the 3 car. It's out there and you know, fast. But, you know, like I said, just looking forward to the year. You know, had a good year last year. Had a solid year the year before that. And just looking forward to, you know, hopefully getting back in victory lane. I mean, this is all in preparation for the biggest race of the year, by the way. I mean, the Daytona 500 is right here. This is what we're working on, right?
Absolutely. And you want to win it, I know. But you see those engineers over there? They get geeked up. You may not be excited with what you're doing right now, but they are all geeked up.
I don't know what the hell they're doing, but they seem to know exactly what they're doing. So I just kind of play along with it, go out and wait in line for a little while, sweat your butt off, and then go up through the gears and make your lap.
Well, let's see if Kevin Harvick knows what he's doing over there with Matt Yocum.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
Boyer, he's always a trip. You know, Harvick and the 4 bunch, they were freaky fast at the Charlotte test, very impressive lap times. What impresses you the most, though, early on working with Rodney Childers?
I think all these guys, everybody's fairly new amongst each other, and everybody just acts like they've worked together for 10 years. So obviously Rodney's very organized and very thorough in everything that they do and have a pretty strict plan, and I just get in and ride around. So I try to keep my mouth shut and just not slow down the process, especially with the condensed test session today. So everybody's doing a great job. Just got to thank Jimmy Johns and Budweiser and Outback and Hunt Brothers, everybody from Stewart Haas Racing for everything they've done. There's been a lot of hard work, a lot of time and effort, and you know, to see the cars on the racetrack and how nice the cars are, it's just going to be a lot of fun this year.
All 4 cars, top 19 on the board Each car has a different run list of what your agenda is. Will we see any of the 4 cars draft together before the night's over?
I doubt it, just for the fact that, you know, there's kind of a lot of new cars in the shop, and I don't think anybody really wants to get anything torn up. You know, obviously the Daytona 500 is important, but, you know, the real importance is still the downforce stuff, because that's what you have to race week in and week out. So if you tear something up, you put the whole shop behind on the progress there. So everything's pretty well lined out to come down here, and still a lot of work to do, but you don't want to put yourself even further behind.
I'd say the most important question would be for Sunday. You are right in the middle here. You're a 49ers fan, but you live in the Carolinas. So does that make you also a Panthers fan, or are you 49ers all the way?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I've been a diehard, I wouldn't say diehard, but I've been a 49ers fan since I was a kid. So we'll definitely be going to the game, and obviously living in Carolina, everybody roots for the Panthers, and it's fun to go to the Panthers game and be a part of it. So we'll be at the game and take a few of these guys and have a good time and drink some cold Budweisers.
I think that was probably one of the most political answers to my question that we've had so far during Speed Week.
There's no reason to get in trouble. We haven't even started racing yet. So we're trying to get started on the right foot here.
There you go. Mike?
Just a little bit of trash talking there. Austin Dillon, the rookie, second Daytona 500 for Dillon, but he is quickest in this practice.
You've reached the age where you learned a thing or two. This is the age of knowing what you're made of. So why let erectile dysfunction get in your way? Talk to your doctor about Viagra. 20 million men already have. Ask your doctor if your heart is healthy enough for sex. Do not take Viagra if you take nitrates for chest pain. It may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Side effects include headache, flushing, upset stomach, and abnormal vision. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. Stop taking Viagra and call your doctor right away if you experience a sudden decrease or loss in vision or hearing. This is the age of taking action. Viagra. Talk to your doctor.
You and this army. Clash of Clans. Download for free.
A man and his truck, and some company, and 5 hard landings, and 8 sore vertebrae, and 1 bruised tailbone, and 3 hours to make it all blissfully melt away. The all-new Chevy Silverado. There's no quieter full-size pickup. Strong for all the roads ahead.
KFC Go Cup. I got a piece of the new extra crispy boneless chicken in there with some wedges. It's only $2.49. That's not wrecking my budget. The money that I don't spend on Go Cups, I can spend on ladies. Let's go for an evening stroll.
I need proof of insurance.
That's my Geico digital insurance ID card. Got all my pertinence on it and such.
Works for me. Turn to the camera.
Actually, I think my eyes might...
Next!
Digital insurance ID cards. Just a tap away on the Geico app.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Everybody knows that.
Well, did you know that when a tree falls in the forest and no one's around, it does make a sound?
Oh! Geico.
Little help here.
48 is the number on Jimmy Johnson's car, and it's the number of laps he has run today. That's 1 more than Denny Hamlin, and they're quite a ways ahead of the rest of the 40 cars that are here. And looking at the list of teams that are testing and teams that we know are preparing for Speed Weeks, we anticipate the largest entry for the Daytona 500 in a number of years. 48 cars are expected to come down here and contest the Great American Race as you look at the drivers who have logged the most laps today.
Yeah, we've been watching Jimmy Johnson in this 48 car doing some unique things, obviously running a lot of laps. And what they also do, he seems like he puts the car in different positions on the racetrack around other cars. And I think truly what they're doing, they will go in and look at the data as to maybe what changes about the car as far as travels and ride heights in different positions on the racetrack.
Well, he's running some really, really good, consistent laps. He is a 47.26 that time by himself. Every now and then he picks up a little help here and there, but the car's been right in the 47.20 bracket by itself, and that's pretty good speed. And speaking of pretty good speed, Russell, I don't know if he was in the car or not, but he just put down the 4th quickest lap. They had that bad boy taped up pretty good. He made one lap, and it was a pretty good one.
Yeah, 46.85 over 192 miles per hour.
And that is the fastest Ford lap of the day. Bob?
P13 for Jeff Gordon. He just climbed out of the race car, and we all want to know, while you're in the race car and they're making those adjustments, what are you working on? What are you doing?
I'm just sweating. That's about it. No, you know, it's typical Daytona testing, other than we're trying to cram a lot in a short period of time. So it's a lot of hurry up and wait. You know, these guys have their whole checklist of things that they have on the to-do list, and we're just trying to work through them. And obviously you got to prioritize them, so we're just working through those things. And for me, it's just go out and get up to speed, make 3 laps, and come in.
How much are you telling Alan, I would really like to draft tonight? Get out there with the guys and mix it up a little bit. Or don't you want to?
It doesn't matter to me. Whatever's going to help us win the Daytona 500. You know, I've come down here for a lot of years, and sometimes we draft, sometimes we don't draft, and it doesn't seem to matter when it comes to the 500 time. We have so much time when we're here on the track, you know, between the shootout, or whatever they call that right now, and the 150s and a practice to get ready for the 500. I feel like there's enough drafting time there, but if Alan says he'd like to do it, I'll do it.
The Sprint Unlimited is going to be a bad to the bone race, absolutely. Now, were you joking around just a minute ago that you've been playing Candy Crush today?
No, I have not been playing Candy Crush. I joked that I could be playing Candy Crush. I mean, between the time that you have sitting in the car in the garage when the guys are making the adjustments, working really hard, and going out and sitting on pit road, I probably could play Candy Crush or something. I don't even have Candy Crush on my iPad, but I'd probably play something different.
Now, what are we going to do between now and when we come back here? How much is there to do, just to give people a perspective what you have on your plate? Or is there some off time, a little breather time before we get going?
There's certainly no breathing time. I mean, we're all hard at it right now, whether you're getting your body physically in shape or the team's working on things and testing. We don't have any tests planned for me before we get back down here, but that could change at any moment. I don't think this is our Daytona 500 car. I'm not exactly sure, but I think that we're actually building another car to come down for the 500. So there's a lot going on. I'm planning on going to Barrett-Jackson next weekend if we don't do some more testing. I'm looking forward to that. Other than that, it's all work and family and business.
You can go out there and maybe buy a car.
I don't know about buying a car. Mr. Hendrick does a pretty good job of that, but I don't know if I see something. I told my wife to look at the catalog, see if there's something she really likes, and maybe, but it's such a cool event. I've made some good friends out there, and I'm looking forward to going out there and just hanging out.
Well, Mike, maybe you can get him to buy a car out there and maybe place a bid or two.
Well, I could loan him a bidder paddle. I don't think he's going to need it, though. But it is a fun event, and we're going to bring it to you on the Fox family of networks beginning on Tuesday through Sunday. Coverage of Barrett-Jackson. How about an attaboy for this group of Richard Childress Racing crewmen that came out to Matt Crafton's aid? Crafton is testing Paul Menard's number 27. Paul's back home dealing with frozen pipes. And after running more than a quarter of a mile to pit road to give that car a push, long walk back to the garage. Meanwhile, Rusty Wallace, fastest forward lap of the day as the Hall of Famer climbs out.
We don't sit idle, wondering how we're going to build a better truck. We get out there and walk a mile, thousands of miles, in the footsteps of the guys we build trucks for. The groundbreaking Ram Heavy Duty with 30,000 pounds of towing and 850 pound-feet of torque.
One car travels towards an intersection with wipers that streak and clog, while another travels towards the same intersection with wiper blades that don't let them see clearly. But between them, the Michelin Man with new Michelin Stealth Wiper Blades. A revolution in wiper blade technology, combining SmartFlex construction for superior windshield contact with proven hybrid blade design for clog-free performance in rain, ice, and snow, helping you steer clear for the road ahead. New Michelin Stealth Wiper Blades. A better way forward. Get your Michelin Wiper Blades at Walmart.
AT&T makes it easy to start your new year off right. Get a hot new smartphone for $0 down with AT&T Next. It's not complicated. A new smartphone for $0 down is better with AT&T Next.
It's time to get more. More of what you love. Because getting more is what you get. With McDonald's new Dollar Menu and more. All your favorites are still here, plus a whole lot more. For just $1, get the crunchy, tangy, brand new barbecue ranch burger. And for only $2, bring home the thick-cut Applewood smoked bacon on the new Bacon Cheddar McChicken. Only on the Dollar Menu and more. There's something for everyone to love at McDonald's.
Welcome back. How was everything?
There's nothing like being your own boss. And my customers are really liking our flat rate shipping.
FedEx One rate.
Really makes my life easier.
Maybe a promotion is in order.
Good news. I got a new title.
And a raise?
Management couldn't make that happen.
Introducing FedEx One Rate. Simple flat rate shipping with the reliability of FedEx.
Hi, sorry, just want to say, I bundled home an auto with State Farm, saved $760. Love this guy. So.
Okay, does it bother anybody else that the mime is talking? Freaky!
Savings worth talking about. State Farm.
Tonight, the Fox Sports Live crew brings you all the highlights from a full day of college hoops, the NBA and the NHL, as well as a look ahead at this weekend's NFL playoff matchups. Fox Sports Live is tonight, 11 Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1. Bob Dillner in the garage.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. climbing out of his race car, and he's been pretty busy today. Your team making you do a lot of runs out there. I know it's boring, but have you learned anything here today?
Yeah, we've learned a couple things. We started off lacking a little speed, and we made a couple changes that we've seen some really, really strong gains. It's hard to find, tenths of a second here, and we've been able to do that. Normally, you go out there running and find a couple thousandths here and there. So we've been able to find some speed in the car, and we think it's got a lot more. This is a car we probably this isn't the primary car. We got another car we're going to build. We think it'll be even better for the 500. So there's even more speed yet.
16th quick so far. I know you got to be itching to get out there and do a little drafting. Are you going to do any drafting here this evening as we get into the evening hours?
I don't know that anybody will. I don't know that a lot of guys are, with the way the time is and the fact that we don't have a lot of time, I don't know that a lot of guys are looking to do any drafting. I don't know if you'll get in a big enough group. So we're probably going to run a lot of single car runs trying to find more speed and trying to make a better race car. So I'd like to do that anyways. Drafting's important, but we won't have any rubber down on the track. Track's going to change quite a bit before we get into the 500 and get to racing. We won't even, we run the bush clash, as I like to call it, at night, and we run the qualifying races at night. We practice for those at night, so we really don't know what the track's going to do in the middle of the day till way later in the speed weeks, and that's when we'll probably need to be out there drafting, really working on the balance of the car, and because you'll have a great driving car at night, but during the afternoon and during the day, the car wants to get tight, and actually you'll need to work on the balance, and we won't be able to do that till really late in speed weeks.
A big announcement with Steve Letarte going to the TV side of things next year. You're battling for the championship this year. But I thought it was interesting, your perspective in that media session earlier. You don't want any influence whatsoever in the decision-making process for your crew chief. How come?
Well, I think I'll be involved in the discussions about it, but I don't want to. I want the people that are, I want the owner of the company, Rick, and Chad Canals, Doug, all those guys that are the decision makers to make that decision, and I would love to be involved in the discussions, and hopefully I'll be able to do that. But you know, they made, you know, Rick and those guys, they made the decision to put me with Steve, and that was a great decision. Most of the other decisions that I've ever made where I've had too much influence in weren't that great. You know, didn't turn out that great. So I'm starting to learn that maybe I don't know exactly what's good for me. And other people can see it on the other side of the fence. Other people can make that decision better than I can. So I definitely learned a lot in the last 4 years. And, you know, I think that we're going to be a real competitive team this year. I know Steve's going to work his guts out. He's energized and excited about his last year. And he's going to get everything he can out of it. And we'll move forward after that once we get to that point. And you know, I'm excited about the future. Got a lot of racing left in me, and I expect to keep getting better every year.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Steve Letarte definitely favorites for the title this year, Matt Yoakum.
Bob, the e-ticket ride is over for Hall of Famer Rusty Wallace back in the Blue Deuce. One last round, just like your helmet says. So what's the first thing that comes to mind as you're now debriefing with your co-driver there, the current owner of the Blue Deuce?
I got to tell you, first of all, I want to thank Brad and Roger Penske and Walt Zarnicki and all those management guys back at the shop, Tim Cindric, and all of them for letting me have this chance. I really wanted to get back in the car and get a good feeling of this Gen 6 car here at Daytona. Not only did they let me run a couple times, I ran most of the day today, and the car is fantastic. It's real smooth and nice, and the crew was kind, and I hope I helped them a little bit, you know, a lot of feedback. But this guy here has been really good to me all week long, and I really appreciate it.
What kind of feedback and what did it mean to you to see all the smiles on everybody, especially taking all the pictures? Even Doug Yates came over to take some pictures.
Well, it means a lot to me. You know, Rusty is, you know, probably the reason why Miller Lite and Penske stayed together and got to a point where I'd have this opportunity. So, you know, I'd like to think I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for guys like Rusty and specifically what he's done for the two teams. So this is our way of showing some honor and respect back, and that's so important. You know, we got a lot of people that make this program possible, and Rusty is certainly one of them that was such a large part of it, but we want to show respect back to them, and we were able to do that today with Rusty, and it was my pleasure.
Now, you know, the Big E, Dale Earnhardt, he had Neil Bonnet do a lot of testing, and Dave Marcus for them. Is there any chance he might dust off the Nomex one more time, or maybe a couple more and go test somewhere for you?
Well, that's up to him, but he did a great job today, so if Rusty wants to drive my car, he can drive it anytime. Just don't take my paycheck.
I think that sounds like maybe an offer.
Well, I mean,
you barely even worked up a sweat, Rusty.
We need to go to Talladega. We need to go to Daytona. That's no problem. Trying to hold this Blue Deuce wide open at, say, Charlotte or Vegas, that might be above my pay grade at the moment. I need some more reps to get that courage back up. But honestly, what a great day it was. I had so much fun, and it capped off a really good week, and now it's go home and reload and head to Barrett Jackson to sell that beautiful car out there.
Thursday night,
8 o'clock on Fox Business Channel. I know Mike Joy and the guys will be out there. I'm pumped up about that. But the day was a special day for me. Broke a sweat, figured out how to lose a little bit of weight. I figured it out. You sit in that hot car, and that's what you do. But pretty good lap out of the Miller Lite car today also. I was proud of that.
One last round for Rusty Wallace.
He ran the best forward lap of the day and the 5th fastest lap overall. Breaking news from NASCAR about qualifying procedures. We'll have that for you next.
This is it. This is where the months of preparation and planning lead to. This is where a missed detail is a missed opportunity. From here, there's no looking back, only forward. In this moment, one tick of a watch separates victory from defeat. It's time to go sports car racing.
The internet was once ruled by these beautiful women. Then the Fox Sports Go app came out, diverting men's attention from these features to these features. With live games and Fox Sports 1 shows. Streamed anytime, anywhere. It's easy to see why this app is so popular. Please don't touch that.
It's the practical Toyota Corolla you want for your daily commute. Yet, this definitely isn't your everyday Corolla. Get a dream deal now on a Corolla S lease, just $159 a month, including no-cost scheduled maintenance. Burned any sick days lately? Toyota, let's go places.
Mesothelioma victims and their loved ones may be entitled to a cash award from the $18 billion in asbestos trust funds. Even if a loved one had mesothelioma or asbestos lung cancer and has passed, your family may still be entitled to a cash award. Call now to see if you qualify. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with mesothelioma or lung cancer caused by exposure to asbestos,
call 1-800-948-5177 now.
And with UVerse, you can move your TV anywhere in the house.
We're happy with Xfinity. Why would we move the TV?
I don't know, but let me show you. Now, if you had the UVerse wireless receiver, you could take this anywhere. See? Anywhere you want.
Don't get duped by UVerse. Get the most entertainment on any device anywhere with Xfinity from Comcast.
Here are the 10 fastest laps today in preseason Thunder, and they're kind of all over the board. Denny Hamlin's quickest lap was his 31st of the day, while Kyle Busch's fastest lap was just his 3rd circuit. But there are the 10 fastest speeds, and a pretty good sprinkling of the 3 makes involved in the Sprint Cup Series, with Austin Dillon, who will be in his 2nd Daytona 500, but his rookie season in the Sprint Cup Series, returning the 3 to competition at NASCAR's top level for Richard Childress Racing.
And that, they made that engine change, and obviously that engine performed a little better than the one they came down here with. That's a good 3/10 pickup over his fastest lap earlier today, and that's a quicker lap than what we saw in practice down here last year. So 194 right now, practicing. There's some more speed out there, we know, so we're going to see some pretty fast qualifying speeds, I'm thinking.
Now, throughout the 2 days here of preseason Thunder, there have been many press conferences and announcements, some of them from NASCAR. About 15 minutes ago, Vice President of Competition Robin Pemberton addressed the media and explained that for the Daytona 500, qualifying would remain as traditional. Single car qualifying runs to set the front row and to line up the duel at Daytona, which will be live here on Thursday evening as that race moves to a nighttime format. But after we leave Daytona, there will be changes in Sprint Cup qualifying for the rest of the year. There will be a new qualifying format that was not specified in the press conference, but which will be announced later in January, likely at the traditional media tour in Charlotte, or perhaps adjacent the Hall of Fame ceremonies that occur the last week of this month. Also, Pemberton said the Nationwide Series and the Camping World Truck Series, NASCAR's other 2 national series, will have different qualifying formats beginning at Daytona, and details will come later next month. So aside from the Daytona 500, change is going to come to the way you qualify for these races.
The 3 of us had the fortune of going and having dinner last night with some of the folks with Sprint, and DW said something last night that I couldn't quit thinking about it, and in my mind he hit the nail on the head. Leave the race cars alone, but it's time for some change in our sport to shake things up. It's time to change the way we qualify. It's maybe time, to Brian Francis' point the other night, to look at the point system. And the biggest thing, I think 2015, it'll be a great time to shake our schedule up. Not add races, not take races away, but just shake the schedule up.
Yeah, no, we're always looking at. I'm not real crazy about messing with points. I think points are points. Whatever it is, Jimmy Johnson's probably going to get the most. I mean, you can change around any way you want to, but that's kind of where that is. But qualifying, I love Formula One qualifying. Everybody goes out on the racetrack, and out of that group you eliminate 20 or whatever, and then the next group go out and you eliminate some more, and you get it down to whatever it is, the fast 5 or the fast 10, and those guys run for the pole. I think that's exciting.
Yeah, knockout qualifying has quite an appeal to it.
It does. It just, then you're watching the monitors and, oh, he's in, oh, he's out. This guy's in, that guy's out. I think that'd be something to think about.
We'll all look forward to the announcement, probably the last week of January, as to the change in qualifying procedures.
And please get rid of the what-if crowd.
Austin Dillon, fastest in preseason practice.
A man and his truck, and some company. and 5 hard landings, and 8 sore vertebrae, and 1 bruised tailbone, and 3 hours to make it all blissfully melt away. The all-new Chevy Silverado. There's no quieter full-size pickup. Strong for all the roads ahead.
When the cable company keeps you on hold, you feel trapped. When you feel trapped, you need to feel free. When you need to feel free, you try hang gliding. When you try hang gliding, you crash into things. When you crash into things, the grid goes down. When the grid goes down, crime goes up. And when crime goes up, your dad gets punched over a can of soup. Don't have your dad get punched over a can of soup. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Think you can't have it all for dinner? Better think that thought again. With Pizza Hut's Big Dinner Box, get 2 medium 1-topping pizzas, breadsticks, and pick from wings, rollers, pasta, or now a 3rd pizza for just $19.99. Or get any pizza for $10. Pizza Hut, make it great.
Yeah, I'm married. Does it matter? You do that for me? Really? Yeah, I'd like that.
Who are you talking to?
It's Jake from State Farm. Sounds like a really good deal.
Jake from State Farm at 3 in the morning? Who is this?
It's Jake from State Farm.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Khakis?
She sounds hideous.
Well, she's a guy, so...
Another reason more people stay with State Farm. Get to a better state.
Protein Fight Club. Milk versus breakfast sausage. Winner, milk has protein and blends. Got protein.
All right, guys, let's huddle up here and talk probiotics. For digestive health? Yes, and did you know that True Biotics is a daily probiotic that helps in 2 ways? It supports digestive and immune health by working in your gut, where 70% of your immune system lives. Try True Biotics today.
Fire up your breakfast with sriracha sauce at Subway. The warmest way to start the day. Add it to your favorite breakfast sandwich for a chili pepper punch.
Breakfast made the way I say.
It's our boldest flavor yet. Subway, eat fresh.
Welcome back, NASCAR Preseason Thunder continuing as we've reached about the halfway point of the day's events. Daytona International Speedway. Danica Patrick back out on track trying to find the speed she had a year ago when she was able to claim the pole here for the Daytona 500. Tonight we will continue with bonus coverage of NASCAR Preseason Thunder at 7 o'clock Eastern and right here at Daytona International Speedway. Tomorrow we'll continue with the Nationwide Series. That coverage kicks off at 3 p.m. Eastern. Hermie Sadler, I was asking you, was there any surprises that you've seen in this first almost 4 hours of practice and testing they've been on the track? And we've seen some young faces up front.
Yeah, I think obviously look at it no further than at the top of the speed chart. You see a couple of drivers from the Richard Childress Racing stables. Not only Austin Dillon, who we've documented, had him on the set, an engine change by plan to try a different engine combination, picked up 2 to 3 tenths of speed on the racetrack, which is absolutely huge. But not only Austin Dillon, but also Brian Scott in a second RCR car at the top of the speed chart. So that lets you know that the combination they have for engines, body, shocks, the whole 9 yards, pretty impressive start for Richard Childress Racing.
One of the other things that our location here, if you look over my right shoulder, your left, Jimmy Johnson's garage stall is right here. I mean, it's literally just around the corner of this golf cart. And I have invited him to come join us on the set, and he continues to dodge us. So I'm not sure if that's Chad Canal saying that he doesn't want him to draft with us, or if he can't do single car runs.
During speed weeks, he doesn't draft with anybody.
With anyone, does he?
That's right.
So we hope that he will join us at some point in time. We have invited him out here, and he actually was just on the track moments ago. But the 11, another fast car in this test session. Denny Hamlin currently second quick. It seems as though he's not missing a beat from where he started the year a year ago.
I think this is a very important year for Denny Hamlin. We documented earlier his fastest lap time could have come with just a little bit of drafting help, so we're not really sure really where the 11 stacks up speed-wise, but we talked to Denny early today on the show. Seems very happy with the car, obviously very excited to get back on track this season. And I agree with what DW said earlier. That win last year at Homestead could potentially put all the bad memories of last season out of the head of Denny, and most importantly, that 11 team as a whole. So they come here with renewed optimism. Denny seems happy. and healthier than he's been in quite some time. And you look back at Homestead, what a terrible season it was for Denny in just about every category. But Rick, to be able to go to vacation off of a win like that at Homestead lets you know that, you've always got that confidence. But when you go back to victory lane, you say, yeah, I know I'm back. I know I can get the job done. My guys know I can. That confidence carries all through the winter. Very, very important.
And you mentioned the word healthy. You've got a guy like Denny Hamlin coming off of a back injury where he wasn't able to get in the car for a number of races. Had to have a substitute driver. When he did get back in, it just didn't seem like everything clicked until that Homestead race where he was able to get to victory lane. You've got Tony Stewart, who, with the broken leg, had put on hold the last half, more or less, of the 2013 season. And so there's drivers that are going to be coming back that are going to kind of almost renew their season starting off with 2014. And Denny Hamlin obviously looking good to start off this 2014 season.
Well, Rick, all these drivers we're talking about are championship caliber drivers. They've won piles of races in all the divisions, late models, all the way up to Sprint Cup Series racing. But anytime you get into a rut that you're not winning races, and worse than that, you're not running in the top 5 and the top 10 consistently, you start to question your ability. So it's important for guys like Denny Hamlin. It will be important for Tony Stewart when he comes back to have success pretty early too, just to know that, hey, I'm back and I can get it done.
There'll be brothers back on the racetrack. You've got Martin Truex Jr. and then younger brother Ryan Truex in the 93 now on track. Let's go to Bob Dillner.
Brian Scott's got a lot going on in his career right now, or his life, I should say. Run Nationwide Series full-time, getting married on January 25th, and you're third quick in this test. But a lot of people want to know, when did this whole deal come together for you to try to run the Daytona 500?
As soon as I made my transition over to Richard Childress Racing last year, we started talking about trying to get some Cup rides in the future, and we did Charlotte last October. And then Daytona, I didn't think it was really on the radar to happen, but, it helps to have teammates at Daytona. So they wanted to throw the 33 in there and put Shore Lodge on it and get another car in the 500 to help out, all the teammates, Paul and Austin and Ryan Newman and everybody. And now we're just, we're going fast and enjoying the time towards the top of the board.
Pretty quick so far, and good luck, and wish you the best on the marriage on the 25th.
That's what I really need luck for.
There you go.
Earnhardt Jr. strapping the helmet back on. He'll be headed back out to the 2.5-mile super speedway.
Incredibly rare, highly desirable, and up for grabs to the highest bidder. Barrett Jackson is back with the most valuable collection of American classics ever assembled. And for the first time on Fox, one of the rarest icons in American automotive history shines in the spotlight.
Wild machine.
Barrett Jackson, live from Scottsdale. The auction begins Tuesday on Fox Sports 2.
Hello. This is where we do that bundling thing? Let's see what you got. RV, covered. Why would you pay for a hotel?
I never do.
Motorcycles? Check. ATV.
I ride those.
Do you?
No.
Boat. Ahoy, mateys.
House?
Hello, dear. Hello.
Hello.
Van with airbrushed fire-breathing dragons. Ah, check.
The more you bundle, the more you save. Now that's Progressive.
70% off for 2 days only at Joseph A. Bank. Leather jackets, 70% off. Incredible sweaters, 70% off. Plus, take an extra 50% off a second special clearance item, making $650 suits $89. And dress shirts and silk ties, $14.99. Friday and Saturday at Joseph A. Bank.
Wow, this jumbo popcorn chicken's so great, huh?
I got the spicy ones for my tennis elbow.
It's a shame you got tennis elbow.
My doctor said I should spice it.
Yeah, probably ice it is what he said, seeing as how icing is a actual remedy and spicing is not.
He said ice it? I'm gonna live! Yeah!
Well, you just have tennis elbow.
Wait, I'm gonna live!
2 good cures for common hunger. Original and spicy jumbo popcorn chicken, starting at just $1.99. This is how you Sonic.
Golden Corral is the best deal in America.
That is music to my ears.
Golden Corral is a gift to my wallet. Only Golden Corral can give you the whole delicious restaurant for one incredibly low price.
I like the sound of that.
It's scrumptious appetizers, endless entrees like our premium 5-ounce sirloin filet, and desserts including our new non-stop, irresistible triple fountain yum.
Can't beat the price.
Or the food.
Or the triple fountain yum.
It's all on our endless buffet for one low price, and it's only at Golden Corral.
Best deal in America.
Period.
Welcome back to Daytona, where 40 cars have been testing today. Once the rains left and the track opened at about 12:40 p.m. A 48-car field expected for the Daytona 500. A number of single-car teams are here, including Joe Nemechek's, the veteran campaigner, once known as Front Row Joe for his qualifying prowess, and of late, a single-car owner-driver in both the Sprint Cup and the Nationwide Series. His Toyota up to 185.3 miles an hour this afternoon.
Joe has won pole here at Daytona a number of years ago.
Yeah, I just have the utmost respect for Joe and what he does, the budget he has. He brings great cars, nice cars to the track. He runs the Nationwide Series, Cup Series. His son, John Hunter, is coming along. Looks like he may have some promise. Really proud of that crowd.
We saw the 26 from Swan Racing, which will be a two-car team this year. Cole Witt in the 26, Parker Kligerman in the 30. And here is Michael McDowell, who moves from Phil Parsons Racing to Levine Family Racing and will drive the number 95 this season.
Another great kid. Michael McDowell is a great race car driver. He's gotten a shot in some of the Gibbs Nationwide cars, does a super job. Nice kid. I'd like to see him get to run the whole year.
This is Alex Bowman, one of two young drivers testing here for Ron Devine at BK Racing. The other is Ryan Truex, who is in the number 93. It's expected that Travis Kvapil will run the season for this team. But two youngsters getting a chance to do some running in Sprint Cup cars at Daytona today.
And you know, we were talking about this yesterday. Expect the unexpected at this race, because if you look at the last 13 Daytona 500s, we have had 10 different winners. Going back to Michael McDowell, driving for Phil Parsons last year, finished 9th in the Daytona 500, and J.J. Yaley, driving for Tommy Baldwin Racing, finished 10th.
Matt Kenseth rolling off into the corner in his Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing.
This may be a qualifying run. Looked like he sat down there and waited for the track to clear. Quite a bit of tape on the grill, looks like. It's probably a nice little qualifying run he's getting ready to make here, getting down the end of this practice session.
A little hard to see, but we're told there you go, lights underneath the car. And that is to help some of the onboard cameras that are measuring, looking at suspension travel and other things. So you saw a little light there shined at the right rear suspension.
Yeah, it's just one of the sensors that they use, probably measuring ride height and what the car's doing in the turns.
Yeah, they'll have one on the front and two on the rear, and what it's actually checking is how the body is tracking down the racetrack. They can almost look, is it turning a little bit to the left? Is it turning a little bit to the right? So yeah, it measures a number of different things. There's some underneath there that measures travel, but also measures how the car is tracking on the racetrack.
And we haven't spoken much about the pitot tube. You see it on the 20 car. We got into a long discussion last year about the pitot tube and who invented it and what it did, and it measures air. That's about as simple as I can make it.
Measures airflow, airspeed,
airspeed, yeah.
Okay.
Use them on airplanes.
You know, I just read day before yesterday where actually Matt and Katie Kenseth, they are expecting their third daughter to be born the month of March.
How about that? Congratulations. Last night was Fan Fest here at the Speedway. A number of our Fox folks got to talk with a number of drivers, and they fielded questions from fans. And probably the biggest news that came out of that was that Tony Stewart has a pet pig.
A pet pig.
His name is Pork Chop. He weighs 3 pounds. He's expected to grow to 20 to 25 pounds. Tony says he's very well behaved, much smarter than cats or dogs. he just can't convince the pig to sleep in till noon every day like he wants to do.
Yeah, wait till he comes home and the pig has rooted up all the carpet in the house.
He said, we named him Pork Chop, and that's his final warning.
Yeah. Old Pork Chop.
Let's see. Last year, Joey had a dog. This year, Tony's got a pig. Here we go.
E-I-E-I-O.
Dag nabbit.
This is it. This is where the months of preparation and planning lead to. This is where a missed detail is a missed opportunity. From here, there's no looking back, only forward. In this moment, one tick of a watch separates victory from defeat. It's time to go sports car racing.
Tomorrow, Javon Pinkston and number 8 Villanova square off with St. John's. Then Georgetown takes on Butler. Big East basketball tips off tomorrow at 1 on Fox Sports 1.
Look out.
Fantastic. The search for a superstar starts here.
I've never been this close to celebrities.
Neither have I. American Idol, the 2-night premiere, begins this Wednesday on Fox.
A lot of Toyota Prius owners spend less on gas than they do on coffee. Did you know every Prius model is a top safety pick? The world is a better place because of Prius. What other car can say that? Now your money goes even further in a new Toyota Prius. Lease one today for just $219 per month and keep saving down the road with 50 MPG and no-cost scheduled maintenance. True story. It's a great time to visit your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places.
Have you developed serious complications from surgery using transvaginal mesh? The FDA recently issued a warning that transvaginal mesh can cause serious complications, such as additional surgery, perforations, vaginal scarring, and mesh erosion or disintegration. If you've had complications from transvaginal mesh placement surgery and needed a revision, repair, or removal, you may qualify for significant compensation. Call the number on your screen now for a free consultation. Our network of experienced lawyers are ready to fight for you. Call us today.
And with U-verse, you can move your TV anywhere in the house.
We're happy with Xfinity. Why would we move the TV?
I don't know, but let me show you. Now, if you had the U-verse wireless receiver, you could take this anywhere. See? Anywhere you want.
Don't get duped by U-verse. Get the most entertainment on any device anywhere with Xfinity from Comcast.
Tomorrow, Big East basketball presented by New York Life returns with a pair of matchups. Villanova takes on St. John's. That's 1 o'clock Eastern tip-off at 1. And then Georgetown faces Butler at 7 Eastern. Fox Sports 1 is your home for Big East basketball all season. Here in Daytona, 2 Chevrolets, 2 Toyotas, and 1 Ford in the Fast Five. Rookie of the Year contender Austin Dillon is the fastest in his Chevrolet, then Denny Hamlin's Toyota, Brian Scott's Chevy, and Rusty Wallace coming out of retirement to take a few laps in Brad Keselowski's Ford. 4th quickest, Matt Kenseth in a Toyota, 5th fastest today thus far. Matt Yoakum.
Mike, currently 17th on the board is the Outlaw, Kurt Busch, and the 41 machine. The most important part of your agenda possibly for this test session is just working on the chemistry between yourself and new crew chief Daniel Knost.
Yeah, the way that we've been running through our sequence, it's been very elementary because it's Daytona and you're doing aero things that you bolt on or things underneath the car. Not a lot of handling characteristic issues. So this month we have nice tests slated. We're going to go to Nashville, so we'll get an intermediate test in after this. And we'll also get New Smyrna in, which is a short track test. So super speedway, intermediate, and a short track test with the Haas Automation Chevy. So feeling good about how we're approaching our off season and building that chemistry with a new crew chief.
When you look at this and going to a new team, and on top of that, working with a rookie crew chief, you've done that 2 other times in the past. So does that give you a leg up as far as maybe certain trends or different things you want to work on to help speed up that chemistry?
Yeah, and then there's things you have to let Daniel do on his own as far as making mistakes to learn. You can always try to forecast things and keep people clear or steer them away from trouble. Sometimes, though, you got to learn all on your own. And so we have a nice, off season with tests to work on. But he has great guys to look up to with Matt Borland, Greg Zipadelli. Those are two of the best guys in the garage. So I anticipate his learning curve going pretty quick.
And for a lot of the fans at home, once again, what is your crew chief's name?
Daniel Knost. So it's not a Knaus. I got a Knost. And the way that our chemistry's been going so far, I butchered up his name all month. So not good so far.
All right, good luck for Speed Weeks coming up.
Thank you.
Go back to last October at Talladega. Kapow up, over, and a wild ride.
And it had a great run. I mean, all up until this.
So there's the lineup at Stewart-Haas. As we mentioned earlier, Danica Patrick, Tony Gibson. That is the one returning combination. Of course, Tony Stewart back behind the wheel, joined by Kevin Harvick. And Gene Haas added a fourth team for Kurt Busch to that stable. Bound to be interesting.
If I've done the math right, there's about 95 Sprint Cup Series wins there with that lineup. Not to mention those championships.
Danica picked up a little bit, guys. She moved up to the 5th spot there. And now we have 3 rookies in the top 5. Dillon, Scott, and Wallace.
I think Kurt's also headed for Barrett Jackson, the big week-long auction in Scottsdale across the Fox networks to help sell a car for charity for the Armed Forces Foundation. A car and an airplane together. Be kind of cool. Matt Crafton is in Paul Menard's Chevy for Richard Childress Racing. Got the late call to come down. Paul and his wife had difficulties at home with pipes freezing in Charlotte in the really frigid winter weather this week. So they're home dealing with that. And Matt Crafton is behind the wheel. The pipes froze in the attic, and the damage went all the way to the basement.
Wow.
As the water pressure just flooded through the house. Gosh. We're told they'll be out of the house for 3 months. Perhaps they can camp out with the Harvicks, who had a fire in their home over the winter in Kernersville, and it's going to be several months before Kevin and his family are able to return home and all that damage gets repaired.
Now, all that cold weather, you'll find a pipe in a place or two that you didn't know there were pipes. That happened in my house.
Parker Kligerman, part of the new driver duo for Swan Racing as that becomes a 2-car team for 2014. Owner Brandon Davis expanding with Toyota to a 2-car stable with new drivers. Here's Denny Hamlin back out for another run in the FedEx Toyota. He is second fastest today.
Think you can't have it all for dinner? Better think that thought again. With Pizza Hut's Big Dinner Box, get 2 medium 1-topping pizzas, breadsticks, and pick from wings, rollers, pasta, or now a third pizza for just $19.99. Or get any pizza for $10. Pizza Hut, make it great.
When the cable company keeps you on hold, you feel trapped. When you feel trapped, you need to feel free. When you need to feel free, you try hang gliding. When you try hang gliding, you crash into things. When you crash into things, the grid goes down. When the grid goes down, crime goes up. And when crime goes up, your dad gets punched over a can of soup. Don't have your dad get punched over a can of soup. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
What is focus? It's a wondrous sensation of clarity and alertness. It's owning your opponent. It's knowing beyond a doubt you got this. It's keeping your head down, your eye on the ball, and knocking it out of the park. It's getting in the zone. It's keeping on your toes, on target, on top. Focus is staring the world in the face and saying, bring it. Focus is power. Focus is life. And 5-Hour Energy is focus.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Everybody knows that, Parker.
Well, did you know auctioneers make bad grocery store clerks?
It'll be $23.50.
Now 75, 23.75 on them, heading it up 23.75, 24, $24, 24 and a quarter, now half, 24 and a half and 75 and 25, now quarter, 26 and a quarter on them, heading it up 20, you want to do it, 5 and a quarter, sold to the man in the khaki jacket.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you, well, you know.
You've reached the age where you learned a thing or two. This is the age of knowing what you're made of. So why let erectile dysfunction get in your way? Talk to your doctor about Viagra. 20 million men already have. Ask your doctor if your heart is healthy enough for sex. Do not take Viagra if you take nitrates for chest pain. It may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Side effects include headache, flushing, upset stomach, and abnormal vision. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. Stop taking Viagra and call your doctor right away if you experience a sudden decrease or loss in vision or hearing. This is the age of taking action. Viagra. Talk to your doctor.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. Shadows starting to get a little bit longer now as the sun starting to set in this NASCAR preseason Thunder session. Again, it's going to continue on through the evening for the Sprint Cup Series since it was non-existent yesterday. So supposed to be 8 hours of test session. And that got cut down to nothing yesterday. So once they finally got on the track today, we've also moved forward to we'll let you know that we're also going to be on from 7 to 8 tonight. So you want to tune in for that. Now, Hermie, coming into this test session, I counted at least 15 teams that have had changes either with driver or crew chief. How has this first 4 hours gone for them?
Well, for a lot of those teams, that was the most important thing is, you know, the car being fast is very important, but more importantly than that, it's crew chiefs, drivers, engineers, everybody around that team. You need to have that communication, start working together, get that comfort level. So for a lot of these teams that have changes, a lot of high-profile drivers at that, I think this session was very, very important for that reason, just as much as how fast you could go.
And we enjoyed our time right here in the garage area. Now let's go back to the booth. And Mike.
Darrell, any surprises for you today?
I just saw one. 46-12, 195 on the 3 car. Every time this car goes on the racetrack, it gets faster and faster and faster. That's 195 miles an hour by himself.
Yeah, they absolutely clean laps. No help whatsoever for Austin Dillon in this 3. And then Danica Patrick up there in 5th. Remember, she was fast last year and sat on the pole 1 year ago for the Daytona 500.
So that's 2 Childress Chevys in the top 5. One from Stuart Haas, a Gibbs Toyota, and a Penske Ford. That's a pretty even kind of balance of fast cars so far. Practice will continue here until 9 p.m. tonight. The Crowd Goes Wild is next. We will be back here at 7 p.m. Eastern Time live with more Daytona Preseason Thunder.